Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya on this beautiful Tuesday, cold Tuesday morning. My name is Victor Olo. Welcome to the program. The date is the 22nd date of, we're in month of April. 22nd of April, I beg your pardon. A very cold and rainy night in the city, just a day after the world is still actually condoling the passing on of Pope Francis, who served for 12 years at the helm of Catholic denomination as the head. A day Pope Francis that's coming just days after, actually hours after he made his public appearance after a very long absence, after suffering a bout of acute pneumonia. The world is still suffering out of that because nobody saw that coming. He was a fighter. He kept on the faith. He was very strong. And even during his last moments appearing at the Vatican, he didn't show any sign of defeat. But that is life. That is life. Vivian will be reading some of the condolences coming from across the country, and even some of the messages also from the leaders in country and across the world that is still gripping the universe. The process of getting a new one is underway as per the Catholic norms and customs to replace him. There is a process to that. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor Lo. I remember in 2015 when he came to Kenya, covering that story as a reporter then. I'll tell a story, something that was quite unique that I witnessed on that day, 25th of November in 2015. There was something quite unique.
What was unique about it? You got to cover that story?
Yes.
Ah.
I'll tell you. Good morning, Vivian.
Well, how about you tell us right now?
Oh, yeah. When he came, there was a very big disparity between our leaders and the Pope.
Okay.
He was driving in a very small car, a Honda. It was not a bulletproof car. It was a white one. It had how do you call it, personalized number plate, but it was just a simple Honda vehicle. While our leaders pulled in 4x4s, huge Mercedes-Benzes, bodyguards and all that, the Pope never had that. He only had his few aides around, and when he was driving around Uhuru Highway and making his turn towards also his cathedral, at some point he stopped and came out of the vehicle, shook hands and went back. How many leaders can do that in this country? Just asking.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, humility was among his virtues.
Right.
And even if we just, you know, just from perusing the newspapers today, there's somewhere I read that among his last wishes, he had mentioned that, you know, in his passing, he does not want to be treated as though he was above everyone else. He just wants to be treated as a disciple and follower. Yeah. Of Christ. Yes. You know, and that is really, really something to emulate, his humility for sure. If you can just allow me to read a condolence message on the passing of Pope Francis, that is by Reverend Dr. Elias Otieno Agola, who is the chairperson, National Council of Churches of Kenya, and I'll just read part of it because it's a bit long. So he, in part of his condolence message, he mentioned that Pope Francis was not only a shepherd of Roman Catholic Church, but a spiritual father and moral compass to millions across faiths. His humility, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the dignity of all human beings will remain etched in the hearts of believers and non-believers alike. His life was a testament of servant leadership. That's exactly what we were talking about. His life was a testament to servant leadership, and his voice, gentle yet bold, called the world to unity, mercy, and care for creation. His legacy will endure as a guiding light in our ongoing pursuit of a more just and peaceful world. That is a condolence message from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. That is Dr. Elias Otieno. For sure, he was a good man, and he was, as he put it, part of the light, you know, that also was able to guide many faithful across all denominations. Well, aside from that, today being a Tuesday, it is Health Tuesday, so of course I will be having a health interview right here, and today we'll be talking about autism, and to be specific, we'll be looking at early intervention for autism, and I'll have two people with me as my panelists. One of them will be Boniface K. Winlight. Boniface is an occupational therapist from the Kenyatta National Hospital, and then we'll also be having Felista Mudhoni, who is a parent to an autistic child. So we're going to be looking at just what are some of the early interventions of autism. You definitely want to stay tuned for that conversation, which will be coming to you at exactly 9 a.m. But before that, Marie is also in studio with us. Marie, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Vivian and Mike. How was your Easter?
Oh, it was great.
Really relaxing and restful. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful long weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always one of those weekends that, okay, December is always long, but Easter, gives us a break from running around at the beginning of the year. So I also had a very calm one, working definitely, but still, even in the office, things are very slow during the Easter holidays. So I hope that you two back at home had a wonderful Easter. My name is Marie Yambo, and definitely I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news. But that's to touch on what you've said, Vivian and Victor, is that, yes, the Pope emulated, servant leadership. Yeah, that is something that is very hard for most leaders. I do not want to bring in I was watching something yesterday on the Burkina Faso president and how he traveled in a plane, and the air hostess really did not know who he was and tried to move him from one seat to another. So that's a story for another day. But just to focus on the Pope and his style of leadership, and he was very humble. He knew that his work is for the people, not necessarily the people working for him. And I remember him for the interreligious harmony that he brought. I don't know whether you can remember that, Vivian and Victor. He actually visited mosques, just to show that, we don't need to be separated because of our religious beliefs. I always say that nobody chose, can I say that? Nobody chose to be a Muslim or a Christian.
Yeah,
Do you agree?
He changed the whole leadership at the Vatican. I think many people felt he went against the grain in so many ways that many quote-unquote world leaders were not so comfortable with, but he chose that direction, direction to humanity.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like it's really, really wrong to discriminate people because of their religious beliefs. I'm a Christian because I was socialized into Christianity. Do you agree, Victor and Vivian? You actually proclaim the Christian faith because you were born in a Christian home. And if I was born in a Muslim home, then I would actually profess Islam. I know people will say later on, yes, but the fact that you are born in a Christian home or a Muslim home or a Hindu home, that is why you profess that particular faith. And so I don't think you need to discriminate anybody based on their religious, beliefs. Just as you didn't choose to be born black, or you didn't choose to be born Luo or Kikuyu or any other tribe. You're socialized into that family. So thank you so much once again from wherever you're joining us. So that story, Pope Francis will be making it into a news this morning, including the fact that Mombasa County government confirms that there are only 2 bodies inside the septic tank that caved in on Sunday evening at Bamburi Mwisho area. And how safe are you in public service vehicles? Did you see that story, Victor and Vivian, of the lady who said maybe she was robbed or assaulted? I don't know, but we'll get to hear it in this particular bulletin. And a woman passenger seeks justice after she was allegedly drugged and assaulted in a Mombasa-bound bus. All that coming up in the news this morning, including the Boston Marathon. Kenya dominates that one, and that is John Korir, Sharon Lokedi, and Helen Obiri doing us proud, in the Boston Marathon. I'll be bringing you details of that at the tail end of this bulletin in the sports news. But let's begin with the demise of the Pope, where the leader of the Roman Catholic, Pope Francis, has passed on at the age 88. The Pope endured a number of health issues in his later years, with most recently having been admitted for treatment for pneumonia on February 14th after he had difficulties breathing. The Pope's death came as a shocker to the world, especially after he made his first prolonged public appearance at St. Peter's Square in Vatican for Easter celebrations. That is yesterday. The Pope's funeral is expected to be less elaborate than that of previous pontiffs, as he had recently approved plans to make the event much simpler. Let's get the details with our reporter, Gladys Mungai.
Catholic faithful across the world are mourning the death of Pope Francis, the first Latin American to lead the Roman Catholic Church. Cardinal Kevin Farrell, the Vatican Carmen Lengo, announced that the Pope passed away on Easter Monday at his residence in the Vatican's Casa Santa Marta. Before his death, the Pope appeared at St. Peter's Square in Vatican for Easter Day celebration. In his Easter Sunday message, read aloud by an aide, as the Pope looked on from the main balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, the pontiff had reiterated his call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Glowing tributes have continued to pour from across the world as the millions of faithfuls mourn the death of Pope Francis.
Ni jambo la huzuni, lakini kwetu ambao tuko na imani kwamba tuko humu duniani lakini tutaondoka duniani hii, kwetu ni kusema amepumzika anaenda kwa Baba.
Our condolences to all Catholics, because this is our leader, all of us. But he meant a lot also in the world. Not only to Catholics, because he stood for values that go across humanity. He stood for human dignity. He stood for the poorest to be defended and also be, helped.
In his tribute, President William Ruto termed the Pope's passing as a big loss to the Christian community. President Ruto praised Pope Francis' unwavering commitment to inclusivity and justice. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, among other leaders, mourned the Pope as an extraordinary man whose warmth and uplifting character inspired and reinvigorated all around him.
One of the very strong messages that he will ever be remembered by the whole world is the message of Laudato Si. That is the encyclical that he wrote, and that was applauded by all people everywhere in the world as a document that was very revolutionary at a time when the environment has been very compromised, very much compromised by the human activity.
Since becoming a pope in 2013, Francis made multiple trips to Africa, including Kenya in 2015.
One pope who valued the human person despite his condition. If you went to Europe, he defended the flow of immigrants.
Yesterday, in his Easter message, the Pope appealed for peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, and South Sudan. In April 2024, the late Pope Francis approved an updated edition of the liturgical book for papal funeral rites. Pope Francis' funeral is expected to be less elaborate than that of the previous pontiffs. Some 138 Catholic cardinals will vote for the 267th Pope, who will succeed Pope Francis in an election known as conclave inside the Sistine Chaplet.
Desturi inatumiwa, hiyo ndio desturi na siri ya kanisa, watafanya kulingana na mipangilio ya kanisa. Kwa najua bila shaka kwa kipindi kisichozidi mwezi mmoja tutakuwa tumepata Baba Mtakatifu mwingine na tunajua Roho Mtakatifu atafanya kazi.
I call for prayer, that we all pray that we are able to receive the whisperings of the Holy Spirit who will guide us, who will guide our leaders, the cardinals, who enter into the conclave for the election of the Holy Father, so that they can be guided by the Spirit of God.
And Pope Francis' legacy has been shaped by his loud calls for social justice and inclusion. The Pope has also defied Catholic conservatism to spearhead interreligious dialogue with Christian and non-Christian groups.
Pope Francis was born on December 17, 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, as Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Bergoglio was the son of Italian immigrants. Having grown up a devout Catholic, he studied at the Archdiocese and Seminary of Villa Devoto before joining the Society of Jesus in 1958. He graduated as a philosophy candidate from Collegio Maximo di San Jose in San Miguel. He also studied humanities in Chile and also graduated from a theological college in Argentina.
Padre del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
Following the completion of theological classes, Bergoglio was ordained as a priest on December 13, 1969. Apart from being a priest during his early years, he also played administrative roles within the Jesuit movement, which catapulted him to the position of Provincial Superior of the Jesuits in Argentina in 1973. In 1988, he was appointed the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. His continued soaring in his pastoral leadership work got yet another hallmark when Pope John Paul II made him a cardinal in 2001, following the resignation of his predecessor, Pope Benedict. Cardinal Bergoglio was elected as the 266th Pope on March 13, 2013, making history as the first Pope from South America and the first from the Jesuit order. His papacy has largely been characterized by a focus on reform and outreach to marginalized communities. As part of his call for reform and regard for humanity, the Pope published a proclamation dubbed Laudato Si', meant to address the global responsibility on matters of the environment.
Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti descendat super vos et maniat semper.
The Pope has also been vocal on the need to wholesomely address poverty and inequality. The Pope has also appeared to veer off from conventional Catholicism by making significant efforts to promote unity between Catholics, non-Catholics and non-Christians. It is under his papacy that the Vatican made a landmark ruling allowing priests to bless same-sex couples. His papacy has also seen the institution of various reforms within the Vatican meant to address allegations of corruption and opaqueness while modernizing aspects of the Catholic doctrine and systems of governance. The Pope went on record to address allegations of sexual abuse by clergy that have rocked the Catholic Church for ages, offering apologies to survivors.
Bless your holy name.
While in office, the Pope has made significant pastoral trips across the world, advocating for peace and social justice. One of those visits was in Kenya, when he came calling in November 2015 as part of his first state and pastoral visit to Africa. During his visit, he met with the then President Uhuru Kenyatta and held meetings with various members of the clergy.
Our help is in the name of the Lord. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
He also conducted an open mass at the University of Nairobi, after visiting the poor living in Kangemi. where he emphasized the importance of social justice and the need to address poverty.
Thank you so much, JJ Curia, for that story on the legacy of Pope Francis. And not to forget that he also advocated for the debt cancellation for poorer countries, particularly in Africa, calling for the review or the relooking of the global financial system, which is actually, skewed against the African nation or poorer countries for that matter. But what does it take to choose a pope? And to be chosen as pope, the basic qualification is being a baptized male Roman Catholic. However, for many centuries, a pope has been elected from a pool of cardinals. Give Us a Minor takes us through the rigorous process of electing the pope of the Roman Catholic, also known as the Bishop of Rome.
When a sitting pope exits the throne through death or stepping down, as was in the case of Pope Benedict, who quit for health reasons, a series of events begins to elect the next leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Cardinals from across the world will gather at the Vatican for a series of meetings known as the Conclave to discuss issues facing the Church and the upcoming papal election. However, it is only cardinals under the age of 80 who are eligible to vote for the Pope. According to Vatican, there were 138 cardinals under 80 years old globally as of January 22, 2025. To qualify as a papal candidate, one needs to be a baptized Roman Catholic male. However, since the year 1378, every pope has been chosen from pool of cardinals. Once voting begins, 2 ballots are held each morning and 2 each afternoon in the Sistine Chapel, located in the Apostolic Palace, the Pope's official residence in Vatican City. This process goes on until the winner emerges. A majority of 2/3 of cardinal votes is required for a pope to be successfully elected into office. When the threshold is reached, the Dean of the College of Cardinals asks the Pope-elect if he accepts the election. If he accepts, he puts on papal dress and chooses a papal name. After each vote, ballots are burned. If a black smoke rises from the chapel's chimney, no decision has been made. But if a white smoke rises, it means the cardinals have chosen the Pope and he has accepted the post. Chemicals are used on the ballots to produce white smoke. To avoid confusion over the color of smoke, bells are also rung to signal a successful election. Moments later, the new pope is introduced from the terrace overlooking the famous St. Peter's Square with the words,
Habemus Papam,
which means in Latin, we have a pope. The pope then gives his first address to the faithful.
Indeed, we remember him. Mombasa County Chief Fire Officer Ibrahim Basafar has confirmed that there are only 2 bodies inside the septic tank that caved in on Sunday evening at Bamburi Mwisho area of Kazandani Ward, that is in Nyali Sub-County in Mombasa. Initial reports had suggested that 4 people sank into the septic tank, which is 120 feet deep, built more than 40 years ago. The 2 unlucky victims are Abdulaziz Abdallah and Emma Tatu Taut, who is yet to be identified.
Faya iko hapa, kuna serikali iko hapa, lakini hatujapata mwelekeo. Je, ingekuwa familia yako, babako au mamako yumo pale ndani, ungehisi vipi?
Wanapopatikana pia ukuwe na uwezo, Mwenyezi Mungu atupe nguvu tukawastiri. Hii ni mitihani na mitihani hii hufika kila mmoja kwa sababu sisi binadamu.
Because the first initial report was 4. But then we confirmed even the third one who alikuwa ameambiwa tukampata hapa hoteli anakula maharagwe na chapati. Akasema mimi ile uoga hata nilikimbia nikaenda nikakaa amani na ile kushukuru Mungu nimekaa wala chapati hapo. So the other one also took off. Then we concluded that the only bodies ambazo ziko pale ndani ni 2.
And 2 people were shot dead while 2 others sustained gunshots along the Marigat-Chamlingot route by suspected bandits. The victims were on their way to Nginyang Market, that is yesterday morning, when they were ambushed by suspected bandits who have now mutated, that is, into highway robbers. The traders were on 2 different trucks with a police escort when the attackers sprayed the vehicle with bullets. Marigat-Laruk Road has recently become a dreaded route, with police providing an escort to vehicles plying the route. Tension is building in the area following the killings of the 2 motorists. The bodies have been moved to the Baringo County Hospital mortuary.
Scene mahali ambayo kulitokea hiyo kukabiliana na risasi, na mmoja aliuawa wakati amefika hospitali akawa atambulika amekufa na kwa sababu ya majeraha ambayo alipata katika risasi.
To commend the government for flushing out the bandits, but still work has to be done in terms of they are trying to change tact with some retaliation and highway robbery and ambush that I think they are behaving now like Al-Shabaab.
Hadi tu ni kwamba kulikuwa na maafisa wetu wa usalama. Pia initially hii highway robbery imekuwa between Kambisamaki na Roruk. But you see now kwa sababu ya ile mikakati tumeweka pale, ile presence ya askari along that stretch from Kambisamaki to Roruk imefanya wame drift kuja pande nyingine, because this happened between Kambisamaki and Marigat.
And President William Ruto left the country yesterday night on his first state visit to China since taking over as the 5th head of state. The 5-day visit, scheduled to begin on April the 22nd, that is today, at the invitation of President Xi Jinping, will see the 2 heads of state discuss financing major infrastructural projects, including the extension of the standard gauge railway, that is the SGR, from Naivasha to Malaba via Kisumu, and the proposed dualling of the Rironi-Mau Summit Highway, part of the larger Rironi-Malaba corridor. This will be the President's Ruto's 2nd major state visit after the United States of America in May last year.
The visit, which comes at a crucial time where the world's geopolitical dynamics is changing rapidly,
signifying the robust relationship between our 2 countries.
According to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, President William Ruto is seeking to deepen strategic ties with Beijing and its broader ambitions on the global stage to cushion the country against the economic shocks that have been felt due to the recent tariffs introduced by US President Donald Trump. During the 5-day state visit that is set to commence on Tuesday, we'll see President Ruto hold high-level talks with President Xi, Premier Li Qiang, and National People's Congress Chairman Zhao Leji.
I am looking forward to this trip because it will give me an opportunity to exchange at the highest level with President Xi on matters of mutual interest.
President Ruto and his Chinese counterpart are expected to sign multiple bilateral agreements across sectors such as trade, manufacturing, agriculture, climate change, education, tourism, security, and technology transfer. Their discussions will also center around financing major infrastructure projects, including the extension of the standard gauge railway SGR from Naivasha to Malaba via Kisumu, and the proposed dualling of the Rironi-Mau Summit Highway, part of the larger Rironi-Malaba corridor. The cabinet has already approved the dualling of the 170-kilometer Rironi-Malaba highway, with the construction set to begin in June 2025.
So these are very important projects, and we're looking forward to concluding those which are not concluded, and having a conversation on how to bring the others into being, so that we can enhance commerce, we can enhance trade within our region, and also between Kenya and the rest of the world.
The visit will also cement cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative, which China launched in 2013 to strengthen global infrastructure and trade connectivity.
And that story brings us to our first break of the bulletin. I'll be back with much more.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
aha nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hota
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Soro FM.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Thank you for staying with us. A woman is seeking justice after she was allegedly drugged and assaulted in a Mombasa-bound bus. Delilah Akoth Omondi says she was traveling from Nairobi to Mombasa in a Mashpoa bus service when she was allegedly drugged by a male passenger and all her valuables stolen. The management of the bus company in which she was traveling in, however, say they don't have details of the passenger who was seated next to her.
In another incident of assault against a woman, which is raising serious concerns regarding the safety of women in the country, a woman is crying foul over what she termed as an ordeal she suffered aboard the Mashpoa bus service from Nairobi to Mombasa. According to Delilah Akoth Omondi, a male passenger dragged her before making away with her valuables.
So I booked a bus heading to Mombasa on 14th. I booked online. Then picked my receipt. Ilikuwa basi ya 9:45 p.m. I picked my receipt when I came to Mash, when we boarded. Then I sat on my seat number 37.
The lady who is now seeking help to trace her aggressor says the mysterious passenger moved up and down the bus before sitting next to her. Upon reaching Mtito Ndei, the male passenger alighted, but upon returning, came back with a cup of tea, which he offered her, and that was the last thing she remembers. She says she woke up at Coast General Hospital in Mombasa without her undergarments.
One of the nurses pulled my friend on the side, akaanza kumwambia, ambia tu rafiki yako achane na hii story, because this is something that happens sana na hizi buses.
The lady arrived here. He was in jeans and a t-shirt, and she was somehow dizzy. We suspected she could have been drugged, maybe.
Mash Poa service manager in Mombasa, Omar Shalo, however, confirmed that the victim looked drugged and disoriented, and that the bus conductor and a tuk-tuk rider took her to Central Police Station to report the incident before taking her to hospital.
From that particular time or date, we haven't seen her.
I'm stressed out. I just want to know what happened. Like, ni nini lifanyika? Why is Mash telling people that they don't have records of this person?
Well, we hope that investigation will reveal the truth. At least one person has been confirmed dead and 4 others left with severe injuries following a clash between 2 factions over ownership of a 120-acre piece of land in the Thini division of Masinga, that is in Machakos County. The land under the title G Farm is at the center of the controversy, with the 2 parties claiming ownership. The Thini location acting chief, that is John Ndunda, confirmed the incident, saying a person who had claimed to have bought the piece of land had come to develop it, only to find strangers at the farm, which led to a scuffle that degenerated into the deadly confrontation.
Clash that has left 1 dead and 4 others nursing injuries at the hospital.
Jana ilikuwa mwendo wa kitu saa 9 hivi. Tulipokuwa tunafanya kazi kwa shamba la Kennedy. Tulipoenda lunch ndio tukaona watu wengi wameshakuja, wakatufahamia wakiwa na masiraha, na sisi hatukuwa na chochote. Saa hizo sisi tukaanza kutoroka, ndio wameanza kutusambulia na mapanga, mishale na rungu.
The bone of contention is this 120-acre piece of land in the Thini division of Masinga Sub-County, Machakos County.
Tunaomba usaidizi wao kwa vyovyote vile watusaidie. Tunaomba gavana kuja hapa kwetu, utuangalilie hii mashida yetu inasumbuka hapa. Na sasa ndiye president wetu Dr. Ruto, angalia mashida yetu sisi, tumeumia kwa siku mengi sana.
Tunakaa kuoga sana. Sasa hii niko na mtoto, nakimbia nipande huko kwa mlima. Sababu nikikaa hapa nikuje nikamatwe na mtoto.
Tunahangaika mpaka 75, tulibomolewa vitu yote, tukalala nje. Hata wasasa mzee wangu alipigwa na mtoto wangu, alikuwa anakalishwa hapa. Anapigwa na miba, na mimi nikakalishwa pale nikapigwa na kiboko.
That led to 2 factions. One led by the squatters who have lived on this farm for several years, and another led by the supposed owner who came to take his land back.
Huyo kuna mtu mmoja hapo, huyo ni mkubwa sijui wa DCA, akanikamata akanifuruta akaniambia ingia kwa gari. Mimi niliingia, tulikuwa mama 3 na wanaume 2, tukapelekwa Ndidhini. Sisi tulikuwa tunadhani tu tunaenda kuandika statement. Tulipofika Ndidhini nikawaambia maybe mimi munielezee venye inaandikangwa, mimi sijui. Tulipofika huko tuliitishwa majina na tukawekwa sel.
Usiku nimelala hapo nikichunga mali yangu isiibiwe, na sijui nitaenda wapi. Bibi anakaa nje, analala kwa majirani. Sasa nitashindwa nitaenda wapi? Mimi ni msaliwa wa hapa.
Ndidhini location acting chief John Dunda confirmed the incident, saying a person who had claimed to have bought the piece of land had come to develop it, only to find strangers.
Na baada ya kuja kuanza kufanya development, kukatokea wale ambao walikuwa wamekaa hapo kwa muda mrefu ambao wanafikiria ni yao, wakaanza kuresist. Alafu sasa vita ikatokea, ukaumia watu 5. Alafu leo nimefika kwa hiyo scene kuangalia, kutembea, na nikatembea nikaona kwamba kuna nyumba ambazo ziliangushwa na fence ikakuwa imewekwa na bado hajamalizika.
The land under the title G Farm is at the center of the controversy, with the 2 parties claiming its ownership. The squatters, led by Benedict Musyoka, said they have settled at the farm for years.
Kulikuwa na watu walikuwa, kuna watu waliingia huku na wakasema huku ni kwao, so inafaa tutoke. Chenye walifanya ni kukata mitunda kuna michungwa ilikatwa hapa kama iko na matunda. Miembe wakakata hii side nyingine. Nyumba wamebomoa, saizi imefika nyumba 6 zenye zimeangushwa. Na hakukuwa na notice yoyote.
Hakuna usaidizi wa machief, hakuna usaidizi wa ndio, hata mwishowe hakuna usaidizi wa DC.
Sasa hata tunashindwa, tuko kwa serikali gani ambao ile na tunachagua watu kazi yao ni nini? Tulianza kupigia sub chief simu wakatuambia tuondoke hapa.
Speaking to Kenneth Kinara via the phone, the alleged owner of the contested farm confirmed that his farm manager, who was among the 5 individuals attacked, had suddenly succumbed to his injuries, while another remains in critical condition.
And I have helped in the development of that place, creating jobs, and then this portion belongs to a close relative.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought it when it's part of the scheme that is G, and they have, even the BCI have confirmed that land, even the NLC, National Land Commission, knows that is our land.
The area chief confirmed that investigations are ongoing.
And I look at sports now, where last year's Chicago Marathon champion, that is John Korir, and Sharon Lukedi, the 2025 Boston Marathon champions. Korir won the men's race in 2 hours, 4 minutes and 45 seconds to make it a double in the family after his older brother Wesley Korir won the 2012 edition. Sharon Lukedi smashed the course record to win the ladies' race in 2 hours, 17 minutes and 22 seconds ahead of Helen Oberi, who took the second position. Well, that's where we come to the end of the bulletin this morning. Thank you once again for making the time for us. My name is Mariambo, my colleague Vivian Degwa, and Victor Lowe will be up next, taking you through the rest of the program.
It's always Vivian, Victor, Marie.
Yeah, sometimes we are very official.
Absolutely.
Or sometimes it's just V, actually.
Yeah, well, off air it's just V. But on the air it's the whole Vivian Degwa.
Yes. It's also for the people who did not get the introduction before you started the show. So it's okay. All right.
Yeah, and by the way, before I forget, Victor, just hold your thought.
Yes.
There's actually a report that came in about the tragedy in Mombasa, and that is, I think he's Aziz Abdallah, 54 years. His body has been retrieved from that septic tank, and it is the first retrieved from Sunday's tragic collapse of a septic tank incident. So we'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in as far as that retrieval is concerned, because there was also another body. There were 2 bodies, actually. So one of them has already been retrieved. Victor?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Marie, for that. All right. So let's go very quickly. On the front page of our local dailies, it's all about Pope Francis, the passing on of Pope Francis. Goodbye, Pope. Benevale, that is Buriani, or adios, however you want to put it. That is different languages. Goodbye, Pope. Benevale, Buriani, adios, Pope Francis. This is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And if you can see, it's quite different. The front page is on a different color. That is black. And we all know what black signifies. Black, and the Pope in his ceremonial hat, and the white robe. That is what I have here on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Desperate, departing this world on Easter Monday, the holiest day in the Christian calendar, Pope Francis' passing marks the end of a transformative 12-year papacy. As the first Latin American to lead the Catholic Church, he redefined the role with humility, fairness, and an openness that often challenged tradition. And messages of condolence flooded the Vatican, united in tribute to a pontiff remembered as the people's pope, an empire of compassion in human form. That is what's on the front page of the Standard. But his real name is George Mario Bergoglio, or Pope Francis. And if you are elected or picked to be the Pope, you choose a name, and he picked the name Francis. George Mario Bergoglio, as an Argentine who became a Pope. And he was the 226th Pope of the Roman Catholic. And the story is on the front page. You can take a look at that in details, and his life, where he all started until he became the Pope of the Roman Catholic. His tour of the African continent also highlighted here. Pontiff hailed as moral icon, voice of the voiceless, and a reformer. That is in the inner pages of the Standard newspaper. Continuing here, Francis, radical leader who broke Papal mold. You can also attest to that. Again, Vivian, because of this, I can attest to that. When he came in the country, that is 10 years ago, he went to Kangemi, and the moment he went to Kangemi, the reporters were given that free will to slightly come closer to where he was. And when he walked into the slums, there was a change of environment that people would feel that even the slum, the people living around the slum, never felt that there was a very big difference between him and them. He broke and actually broke that chain and the gap between the poor and him.
And he was able to do that so seamlessly.
So seamlessly.
Yeah.
Again, on that day when he was going to give the mass at the University of Nairobi grounds, we went there at 7 a.m. But funny enough, people slept there, and it had rained the entire night in Nairobi. So we struggled to get away to the days where the cameras were set and all that. We missed a lot. Let me just tell you the truth. We missed a lot because people slept there in the rain.
Yeah, waiting on him.
Waiting on him. And when he started the mass, it was also raining. People were soaked, but nobody cared.
Yeah, the man was so loved. Like, for sure, he was very, very loved.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just a symbol of humility and a symbol of just being human, you know, in just being human, you know. And same with the Star. We have the front page with the Pope's picture. That is Pope Francis, born in 1936 and died in the year 2025. That is 88 years of living. And something that is a bit different with the Star today, you know, it's like this whole paper was dedicated for the Pope. So we have this page 1, 2, 3, and 4, speaking about the Pope, you know. The first page, of course, is that picture of him. And then in this second page, we have them talking about the race for his succession, that is cardinals in succession race, and we have 6 of them who may become the next pope. And then we also have a story on his visit, his 2015 visit to Kenya, and we have different pictures just highlighted there of his tour in Kenya. And exactly what Victor was talking about, there's actually a picture here of him in the slums. It's quite a small one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it nicely. You know, him at the slums of Kangemi. And then there's also the car that he was using, which was just an ordinary car, just an ordinary car, not the kind that we're used to, the 4x4s and the you know, and whatnot. And aside from that, we also have what next after Pope's death. So it's all about the Pope this morning. But aside from the Pope story on now the front page of the Star, aside from the paper, we have 2 front pages on the Star, by the way. Now, aside from the one that is dedicated for the Pope, which is this one, we have the Star over here. And the top page says the return of big money Harambes. And that's a story that is on page 4 and 5 of the Star. We also have Wandai, that is the Energy Cabinet Secretary, Opiyo Wandai. Plans are underway to float KBC shares at the NSE to help fund government/public sector development programs. We also have a story on a GSU officer who shot bar attendant loses appeal. Victor?
Yes. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Nation, very quickly, it's all about the Pope Francis, 1936 night 2025, transition from the moment of his election as Pope on March 13th, 2013. Pope Francis indicated he would do things differently, changing the face of the modern papacy more than any other predecessor. So I think you can take a look, you can buy your local newspaper, the one that you love, and read for yourself. Vivian, let's take a break.
Absolutely.
GMK continues after this. Stay with us.
Ima na wendo mwingi tugikuthokia Embu County, the land of opportunities. Kambunene ya Ngemi FM mushie worata.
Twegagure na kamwetha kama vyumeto. Muroro kiande tukunye maire na murori tuthie thokore besa mivukore cha
manje makiyara uranje muri cietu cia thitima na ronje ruwathagana nyamu cia kithaka igitugemeria bururi wetu wa mbere Embu County. Ngemi FM tikomono tukianirira na mugambo munene eno ni
Ngemi FM
musie wa urata.
Eno ni nyumba nene
musie wa urata.
Ngemi FM 103.5.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Degwa, and we officially get into our health bit of the show, our health segment of the show. And today our conversation is on hemophilia, and to be specific, we're going to be looking at the management of hemophilia. And joining me for this conversation on my immediate left, we have Marilyn Magai. Marilyn Magai is a hemophilia nurse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, and right next to her we have Billy Mureithi. Billy Mureithi is a hemophilia parent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get into this conversation so that we get to understand what exactly is this condition or disorder that is hemophilia, you know, everything around it, right? Let's just bring awareness on it. If we may begin by you, Marilyn, defining to us what hemophilia is.
Okay, thank you so much. Hemophilia is a bleeding disorder that is characterized by bleeding. And it's an inherited disorder whereby the client doesn't have clotting factors. Clotting factors are proteins that are in the blood that help the blood to clot well. So when this patient doesn't have these clotting factors, this patient is able to bleed so easily. Yes.
So it means someone with hemophilia is someone who's who has an issue with their clotting has a problem, so their blood does not clot normally, right?
Yes.
And this may cause excessive bleeding whenever someone has been injured or something of the sort.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So are there different types of it?
Yes, we have two different types that we are going to talk about today. We have hemophilia A, whereby this patient lacks the factor 8, and we also have hemophilia B, where this patient is deficient of factor 9. Yeah, so we need to replace this factor for this patient to be able to clot well.
Okay, okay, we'll get into all of that so that you get to explain all that to us. Now, if I may talk to Billy. Billy, you're a parent to a child who has hemophilia.
Sure.
If you can just let us know probably just how old is the child, and when did you know, or when was it diagnosed that, you know, he has hemophilia?
First things first, thank you for having me on the bench. My child currently is 4 years old, and he was first diagnosed when he was 2 years old. Yes, at Kenyatta National Hospital.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did that happen?
At first, personally and the mom, we didn't even have any knowledge about the disease. The mom could only mention to me about seeing some bruises, seeing some clotting-like fixtures on the skin of the baby. Maybe when he goes to play, when he comes back, he has a bruise, or maybe something, you know, like a bump or something. So every time I would tell the mom, it's something normal, you know, we Africans, a small bruise, just you don't go to hospital because he's a baby, something small, you just take maybe something like robe or hot water, you just, you know. But with time, the mom came to know about the condition from her family tree. Okay. Then there was a campaign at Kenyatta whereby they were trying to find more patients, to discover more people who have hemophilia. So they ran some tests on us. So that's how we came to know about the condition. Yeah, from our side.
Yeah, from your side.
Yes.
Probably, if we can speak to the nurse, is it a common condition in the country?
No, hemophilia is not a common condition. It's a rare congenital bleeding disorder. Yeah. So 1 out of 10,000 globally are hemophilia. So in Kenya, we only have 1,200 patients who have been identified as having hemophilia. Yes.
So it's a really rare condition.
It's a real rare condition.
Yeah. You had mentioned that it's inherited. So if you can just talk to us about the causes of hemophilia. Is there any other cause apart from, you know, one inheriting it?
No, this condition is usually passed down from the parents to the babies, to their children that they are going to give birth to. And this condition, we should know that it is X-linked, meaning that the X chromosome, that is the X sex chromosome, is the one that is affected. So it is because of the mutations that this patient gets this disease. So a patient who has hemophilia, that is a male, usually inherits the X chromosome that is affected from the mother. So you find that a male doesn't have an X chromosome. So this patient who is a boy will get the disease. Usually it's male dominated. Males are the ones that are affected. If it's a lady who has the affected X, she is a carrier. She is not sick. Unless she gets an extra X, two X's that are affected, she becomes hemophilia. And that is very rare. We don't have so many of the hemophilia ladies. Yes.
Is this something couples can look at or look into before, you know, planning on getting a child? Is there a way to get to know if, you know, if probably this couple, if they get a child, it's possible for them to have a child with hemophilia? Is it something that can be detected earlier?
Yeah, it's very possible, though in Kenya we are not testing the mothers who have babies for hemophilia, who are carrying babies for hemophilia currently, but it is very possible to do it.
It's possible to do that. All right, so Billy, I want you to take us through that journey, you know, after the diagnosis. You said, first of all, you were just noticing bruises here and there, but sometimes one may just feel like it's normal. The child was out playing, he got hit maybe, or, you know, or something of the sort. So from the time that it was officially diagnosed and you knew, okay, this is what my son is suffering from, to date, it's 2 years now.
Yes.
Yeah, just how has that journey been for you and your wife?
Well, it's not an easy journey. Knowing that your child won't live a normal life, like the other kids. What I mean a normal life is, I was even scared of my baby going outside to play because you don't know the magnitude of the bruises that might come back with. Mind you, at the time, we were just so blank about it. We were only depending on the clinic, a few friends, maybe we had, you know, built a rapport with a couple of times. But all I can say is we really got a very, very good support from Kenyatta National Hospital and the Kenya Hemophilia Association of Kenya. We got tremendous support in terms of medication, in terms of advice. They even have a therapist, they have a psychologist, they have all those departments. It's all about the parent. the parent, how willing are you to come out and say that my child is hemophilic? And how bold are you enough to, you know, to visit the clinic and everything?
Yeah.
Back to your question, it hasn't been an easy journey, but with the help of the clinic, we've been able to get medication anytime we want. We've been able to get advice anytime, even from, you know, one call away. Yeah. So it's been good. So far, so good. And how I was 2 years ago and how I am today, it's not the same. I don't think I could just maybe sit down the way we sat here and talk about it.
Yeah, so you'd say the therapies
Yes.
have really,
Yes.
the therapy has helped.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And at the back of my mind, I sit down and look at other kids and see the diseases that they, you know, have. In this world, currently we have some crazy diseases and some traumatizing ones. So I sit down and I look at my child. Currently my child, he has been through the first term of his school. He just joined school January. It's such a joy to me, you know, seeing your baby go to school, come back, no bruise. Such an amazing thing. I couldn't imagine that I could take my baby to school. I was actually...
Because you were looking at all the risks.
All the risks. For example, if he goes to school and get a deep cut, it's a mess. You can't prevent the baby from playing. Actually, plays good. So seeing him grow that big... Actually, I was talking to Mary the other day. I was telling her that since the day that he joined school, up to now, he has never, ever even got a single bruise from school. But at home, he does.
It happens.
It happens.
That's so interesting.
I know.
Now, Marilyn, you know, there are a couple of things he's gotten to talk about that I want to also just maybe have you pick up from that. You know, say a hemophilic, that's what we call someone with hemophilia, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah?
Yes, or a hemophilia patient.
Or a hemophilia
or maybe
patient.
a person living with hemophilia.
Okay. So say a hemophilia patient, for example, someone like his child, right, gets a deep cut. Like, what's the first thing to do? You know, for any normal person, and the basic first aid that we've all been taught is try and stop the bleeding by just pressing onto it or applying pressure on the injured place, you know, the place that is bleeding. So is it any different? You know, how do you deal with someone who's gotten a cut, you know, someone with hemophilia?
So a patient who comes to us with a cut wound and
not even
is bleeding.
to you now, first aid, like it's in school, this child has gotten a cut. What's the first thing someone is advised to do to them?
Okay, for a patient who is still maybe at home and maybe in school and has a cut wound, the parent who is there with the kid can cover the wound, and normally we give the parents a vial of factor to go with at home. They should run immediately to the nearest healthcare center where they can be injected the factor. Yeah, we normally give a prescription plus a vial of factor for emergency purposes. And then from there, they can always go to the hospital for either suturing or maybe stitching of the wound. Yes.
So if they're in school and the parent is not there, is this something that maybe you've advised the parent that this child should always have what you just mentioned?
Yes, for all our patients who join school, there's a letter that is normally done by the Kenya Hemophilia Association and given to the parents so that they present to the school where the patient is going to school, so that the school is made aware of this condition. And also we have a parents group from the Kenya Hemophilia Association, which normally goes to such schools where our children are, and they go educating the teachers, educating the parents and also the kids that are in that school on how to take care of a patient, of a baby who has hemophilia.
So that's the same thing applies for a grown-up?
Yes, the
who
same
has
applies.
hemophilia?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, let's talk about some of the common symptoms of hemophilia. When should one now suspect that, okay, probably this is hemophilia?
Yeah, for you to suspect that this patient has hemophilia, they will have prolonged bleeding. They will bleed longer than normal, maybe from a cut wound. At times they may have nose bleeding, that will go on for a very long time. At times they have bruises, like what Billy has said. At times they're having some hematomas on their skin. This shows that this patient is bleeding and they're not clotting well. And if it's a lady, maybe they're having a bleeding condition, they will have heavy menstrual periods or heavy bleeding. Yes.
It also affects a lady's menstruation.
Yes, it does. And even after delivery, they will bleed for long. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Just how has your day-to-day lives changed? You know, generally as a family, you know, having a child who has hemophilia, has it affected your day-to-day?
Well, I might not say that it has affected my day or my life in such a great way, because one thing, once he was diagnosed of hemophilia, we were taken through a process of guiding and counseling, and I accepted that my kid is hemophilic, and I just decided that that's it. Let me just find ways on how to manage it, because one thing, I can't lose my baby. I can't throw them away. I can't leave my wife, you see? So at the end of the day, it's just finding measures of how to tackle the hemophilia. So due to every course that I have undertaken, I think I'm okay. I'm okay. It's okay for me, because you see, I was asking my wife the other day, normal babies, they do have, what do you call them, fevers, normal fevers, allergies, now left, right and center. What's the difference with this one? There's no big difference. You get a bruise, you go to hospital, get a factor, and you're good to go.
So as long as the child is not hurt in any way, in case they don't get cut or whatever, they just live a normal life like
they
any other
live a
child,
normal
right?
life. They live a normal life. They live a very, very normal life. So the basic thing about hemophilia, what I can say is, maybe to the parents or to anybody who is new to hemophilia, just get your facts right. Just get your facts right. Love your clinic, love your clinicians. Anything small, no matter how small it is, because you're not, you know, used to this kind of situation. So you'll face different challenges from different corners. Now like the other day, we had an issue with his teeth. He got an injury while he was playing. The teeth was shaking, so I didn't know how to handle it. Do I remove it? Do I take it to hospital? What do I do? But with the help of the doctors and the Kenyatta National Hospital, we were able to maneuver it through factor. More factor, more factor, more factor, more factor. And it was good, and we are now okay.
How regular are the clinics?
It depends. There are some clinics that we normally go maybe like once a month, or you can even go to a clinic if you have an issue with your baby. It's not like we have clinics that are just normally maybe prescribed or recommended by the doctor, but we normally go to clinics whenever we are needed to. Yes, or maybe if you have an injury. All
right, so Marilyn, there's something Billy had mentioned earlier. He talked about the fact that they have to go through therapy as the parents of this child who has hemophilia, and I believe maybe for a grown-up, or I don't know when exactly the therapies begin for the patients, but just how important is that, the therapy bit of it?
It is very important for this patient who has been diagnosed with hemophilia to go through therapy, because this is a lifelong disease. They are going to live with it, and they have to know how to take care of themselves. So usually at the point where we diagnose this patient, it is at that point that we start the therapy. We start counseling them.
Even
and just
for the really young ones? Like
for the young ones, we counsel the parents on how to take care of the babies so that they don't get injured so fast, because for the little babies, they need to just play games like computer games, chess, things that won't injure them, like contact sports like football, hockey. Those things are able to bring some injuries to them, and they'll keep coming to us. So we start at that point to counsel them on how to take care of their babies, so that at any point they get a bleed, they come to us, because usually we don't have prophylaxis. Prophylaxis is only for a group of patients, 34 of them that have been set aside to undertake a prophylaxis on a different product.
Kindly explain to me what prophylaxis is. Had you mentioned it? I think maybe I missed it. What exactly is it?
Prophylaxis is just prevention of the bleed to come.
Okay.
Yeah, so they get a product called emicizumab, so that it is usually taken once a month for these patients who come every other month. So not everyone is on prophylaxis. That is for prevention of the bleeds. So those who come with bleeds are coming on demand. It's only when they have a bleed when they come to us for us to give them factor. So we normally continue with therapy. We have a psychologist who continues talking to them. When they're having challenges, we send them to the other departments where we work together with. Yes.
Yeah. At what age is it normally detected? Is there a particular age that you feel that's when normally this hemophilia is normally detected, or it depends?
Currently, we are able to detect them at birth. For a mother who knows herself as a carrier of hemophilia, probably she has other kids who have hemophilia, we can always do it at birth. When the baby is delivered, we're able to draw blood and test this baby. Like olden days, in the olden days, they were not being tested early enough. That's why you find that some are having some challenges with walking because it affects their limbs. They're not able to walk well or maybe use the limbs because they are affected. Yes.
Okay. Billy, are you taking any extra precautions?
Well.
Is it even possible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So you see, like now, I decided that my child should live a normal life like the other kids do. He should ride a bike. He has a bike. But as he rides his bike, he has a helmet. He has the knee pads, you know, everything, any safety measures. If you're going for swimming, I ensure that whenever he swims, I'm there to check on him. Yeah, such kind of measures.
Yeah. So just hearing from Mary here, she mentioned that, you know, a child or a person with hemophilia should not get into some sports, you know, like football, rugby, and so on and so forth. So this is something that you know now, now know that your child is not supposed to participate in all of this, or you are the kind of parent who's like, he can take care, he can just work maybe his way out of it.
So regarding the kind of information that I have from them, they're not supposed to. But at the end of the day, I try as much as possible not to limit him so much. You know, even the limitations sometimes make them, you know, ask them so many questions. Why is he limiting me? What's wrong with me? I have 2 hands, I have 2 legs, I have everything with me. What's wrong with me? But what I do, I try as much as possible to educate him. Make him knowledgeable enough to understand of the condition first that he has. So currently, as we speak, he knows that he's not supposed to be jumping all over. Whenever he goes to school, even the teachers know. Yeah, he always tells them, I'm not supposed to climb everywhere, I'm not supposed to jump, you know. So it all starts with the parent and the baby. Just train your baby to know the condition first. Then you as a parent, then I think you'll just guide him. I took a note on the games area, whereby I engage him in draft games, chess game, board games, personally. I engage him in that. And I also took him to a school whereby they emphasize more on such games. Swimming, chess games, board games, card games, you know, mental games, games that are not so much physical. So that at the end of the day, he might live a normal life and enjoy, like the other kids do.
Which is very important.
Yes.
What are the risks of untreated hemophilia?
Yeah, if a patient is not treated of hemophilia, they won't be able to live a normal life. Their quality of life will be reduced, and they're risking maybe death because they can bleed to death. So for every patient who has hemophilia, they need to seek treatment so that the missing factor is replaced. Yes.
So it's very important that
It's very important for them to seek medication. And for those maybe who have bleeding tendencies and they've never been diagnosed, they need to go to the nearest hospital so that the necessary tests are done for them to be diagnosed.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are many diagnosed, or rather there are many patients who are yet to be diagnosed? You know, you mentioned the numbers, they are quite low, which is good. You know, it's not like we want the numbers to go high, but you know, just do you feel like maybe most people really don't know that they have this condition?
Yeah, it's very true. There are so many people who are so maybe very ignorant. They don't know that they have this disease. They are living in ignorance. No one has ever told them, or maybe they think it is witchcraft. We are telling such people to come to us so that we diagnose them. There are so many outside there. We are yet to cover the whole country with diagnosis. We know we've opened clinics here and there so that we try getting more clients, more patients, because as per now we are at 12% diagnosis. We're supposed to have around 5,000 patients who've been identified with hemophilia.
Oh,
yeah.
But so far it's 1,000 plus.
Yes, 1,000 plus. Yeah. So currently we are doing family tree tracing, whereby we're looking at the families who are already having hemophilia and trying to trace back to see those who have not been diagnosed in their families. Yes.
You know, just from the numbers that you've mentioned, it's clear that we have around maybe 3,000 plus who've not been diagnosed.
Yes.
And you know, one may say, what you don't know does not kill you. So they would rather not go get checked to get it. What do you say to such a person?
No, they should just come, because hemophilia is it takes you down if you don't come for treatment. You definitely have to come to us so that you are assisted. Yes.
Yes.
Stop
Seems
being
like
ignorant.
Billy, you wanted to add on to that.
What I would say to the people who maybe think that maybe they are strong enough, they're not strong enough. It's just that the injury has not hit where it should. Okay, like tomorrow is World Hemophilia Day. If you come to Kenyatta, you'll see what do I say, the repercussions of the injury that hemophilia can do. Yeah, you can see it with your eyes. Yeah, crippled children walking with wheelchairs. Others are in terrible.
As a result of
Yes. You know what happens is a child gets a bruise or hematomia at the hand. Okay, you don't go for treatment. At the end of some time, okay, the bleeding that was there has formed something, I don't know how they call it, but it's something like a stone, okay? Imeganda kwa hiyo mkono. So you can't even move your hand. So at the end of the day, for the rest of your life, the hand will remain that way. So you can imagine how it does to the legs and other parts of the body.
Yeah. And that is something that could have easily been avoided.
Yes, and that's what the factor does now. When you get a factor, it dissolves.
It
dissolves the blood clot that was there. Yeah, so if you don't get the factor, the blood clot remains in your hand, and that's it for you. Yeah. So the earlier you get treatment, the better.
For sure.
Yes.
When you talk about the factor, is it an injection? Is it a pill? What exactly is it?
Factor is an injection. It is usually given intravenously, that is through the vein. Yeah, so we normally give it on demand for patients who come to us on demand with an injury. Yes. Yeah, and if a patient has come probably with a cut wound, we can decide to give maybe for 5 days and then to come for review after a week, so that we see whether this bleeding has stopped. Yes, so and we can also decide to put them on prophylaxis, that is to prevent further bleeding, probably for a month, if it is something that has occurred over a long period of time, so that we manage the bleeding for this patient. Yes.
Well, we were starting, you mentioned the 2 types of hemophilia. If we can now just go a bit deeper into the types. You know, is there one that is more severe? What exactly does each of them, you know, portray?
So, yeah, we said we have hemophilia A. This is whereby you lack the factor 8. You are deficient of factor 8 in the body, and it is the most common one. And then we have hemophilia B. Hemophilia B is deficient of factor 9, and it is the less common one. A is at 80%, hemophilia B is 20%. Yes. Yeah, and then about severity, for both of them, we have different severities. They are in 3 classes. We have mild bleeders, those who have factor levels below 0 to 1%. And then we have the moderate ones who have 1 to 5%. And then we have the severe ones who have between 5% to 25% of factor levels in their body. For a normal person like me and you, we have 50 to 150 factor levels in our bodies, the clotting factors, that is. Yes.
Is it something that advances? Like, is hemophilia a condition that can advance? And if yes, how do you now prevent the advancing? You know, the way with several diseases, there's the advancing. If you have cancer, there's the first stage, there's, you know, how it advances.
No, for hemophilia, it doesn't advance like, if you are a severe type, that is your phenotype. It will remain to be that severe for you. You're always a severe type of hemophilia. If you're moderate, then you're still moderate. Yeah, you won't go further to become severe if you are moderate on time of diagnosis. Yes.
And a severe can also not get to moderate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also for a family that is hemophilia A, you'll find that the same will remain in that family. The same phenotype will remain in that family. They'll all be hemophilia A. If they go to the other family with hemophilia B, that family will be in hemophilia B. In one family, you can't find like a patient having hemophilia A, the brother being hemophilia B or A. They'll all be hemophilia A.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's inherited, so it's the same
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you, Billy, and also, you know, just to get to allow you to speak to maybe families that are watching right now, specifically maybe to the dads, you know, even mothers. Let me not close it. You know, the fact that you got to know that your son got this condition, and, you know, looking at how it's spread or how it's how one gets it, how it's contacted, it was clearly from the family tree, from your wife's side. The fact that you took it, you know, it's not everyone who will take it easily. Someone will start playing blame games. You know, now you see it's you who's brought this on us and whatever and whatever. I want you to speak to maybe, you know, parents who are going through the same, and maybe one hasn't really accepted, or maybe it's the mother who's passed it down, yes, and now they're blaming themselves, or it's the dad who's not being supportive because now they're blaming the mother for, you know, something that she could not clearly be able to control. I want you to speak on that.
Yeah, thank you. I would say, first things first, we never created ourselves. That's for sure. We never created ourselves. And the best thing that we can do to our families is just to love them. Because I was asking a friend of mine who was like, just leave your wife, get another wife who is not hemophilic carrier. And I was like, okay, fine. I leave her, I go to another wife, okay? Who says that they're gonna be 100%? They're not hemophilic, yes, but they have cancerous cells. They have different cells, you know. I might get a son who is autistic next. I might get a kid who is okay. So at the end of the day, I will tell them, God creates us. We don't create ourselves. And at the end of the day, God is the one who knows. I was asking them, I've never been on a TV interview before, okay? But I'm here because of him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's a blessing to me.
It is,
That's a blessing to me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I get to appreciate God's creation. I get to appreciate that, you know, God has given us the gift of life. On my very, very first experience, I went to the first Kenya Hemophilia Association, or the Kenya Hemophilia Day that was in Murang'a. There was a lady from Mandera. She really moved my heart. She was saying he had the first kid, which was a son, of course, who was hemophilia, I think type A, okay? And the husband remarried.
Okay?
Because of that.
Because of that.
Yeah.
He was saying, according to their culture, such kind of things are not allowed because it's like you're cursed. How do you bleed? How do you excessively bleed?
Yeah.
Like, you know, not like any other normal human being. How do you give birth to kids who normally bleed and everything? And at the end of the day, the husband left him. The mother, you know, he couldn't leave the kid. He fought with the disease without knowing what was eating the kid. Okay, but after the awareness and, you know, the diagnosis and everything, he now wants a second child. He doesn't mind if it's a boy. Okay, because at the end of the day, back then she was jobless, everything, but currently as we speak, I think she's employed by Kenya Hemophilia Association, okay, as a caregiver, or I don't know, but she has a job currently just because of hemophilia. There are people in our association who have been employed because of this job. There are people who have gone to abroad to advance their learning, and all the same, I can say, watoto wanatoka kwa Mungu, na ni baraka tu. Yeah, that's all I can say. Just love your kid. I was asking another patient. I woke up today in the morning, coming to for the interview. Who says it's a must, mimi ningefika hapa?
That's very true. We never know.
We never know. We never know about.
Next second.
I never know about what's going to happen when I leave here. When I'm going home, it's all about God. You leave your wife, you leave your kid, you abandon them. Then what's next? You're doomed.
That's true.
Just love them.
That's true. I love that. And I really love that.
Just love them.
You know, you're looking at the positive side of life, and that's how each and every human should be.
Actually, we are told that hemophilic patients or hemophilic kids, they're very, very bright. I have a genius at home. I have a genius.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Good.
All right, as we almost come to a close of this conversation, maybe, Marilyn, do you feel we are doing enough awareness on hemophilia? And as tomorrow, as you say, is a celebration of Hemophilia Day, right? What exactly is going to be, you know, what exactly is being done to ensure that there is enough awareness out there?
Yeah, currently, I think maybe media is not doing enough to publicize about hemophilia. But currently what Kenya Hemophilia Association is doing is great, because they are creating awareness all over. They've been creating clinics all over the country. We have currently 25 treatment centers for hemophilia. And in all those counties, they've been teaching the health care workers within those places, and even teaching the public within those areas. So they've been creating awareness, and this is supposed to continue. I think media should take up this mantle, run with it, because we are yet to diagnose these more than 3,000 patients who are still lying there. They are still not sure of what they are suffering from. So we need to get them out. We need to bring them so that they get treatment. And on Hemophilia Day, the Hemophilia Day is usually celebrated on 17th of April. Though for Kenyatta, they are doing it on tomorrow, 16th. So the national one is being done at Muranga on 17th. KNH is doing it tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you so very much for joining us for this conversation, and thank you for the awareness that you are spreading.
Thank you.
All right, this is where we get to end Good Morning Kenya. As you've heard from our guests, the ball is on our court as well as the media, and that is what we do right here as Good Morning Kenya, or as KBC in general. We just try and spread awareness and bring awareness and give you information of things that should be talked about. Right here, we do not speak in harsh tones about things that we feel may help the community, the society, and the country at large.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have. By regular checkup, people don't know they have hypertension, they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers.
Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Praise the Lord. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi, and I want to invite you every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1 for the Angaza Show. This is the place of bold conversations, discussions, testimonies, and life-changing, transformative, informative gospel show. It is now a norm. Friday ni siku ya sherehe, Saturday ni siku ya sherehe, Sunday ni siku ya kukunywa supu ukitoa hangover.
You know, when you wake up from hangover, the first thing you kutoa lock.
Yeah.
That afternoon sikuenda kutoa lock.
I didn't even know how I moved from Kariobangi to Westland. Niliamka mahali, nauliza soja, huku ni wapi? Nauliza, wewe unataka huku kukue wapi?
Where we also play in gospel music, inspiring songs and inspiring conversations and testimonies. Only on KBC Channel 1. So see you there, and thank you for always tuning in. God bless you.
Cabinet and Metro Enjoy.
County governments. She was also responsible for overseeing both public sector reforms and the monitoring of performance contracts across the public sector. One of Waiguru's flagship projects was setting up Huduma centers on 7th November 2013, which aimed at streamlining delivery of services by taking them closer to Mwananchi. Waiguru would later be haunted by the ghost of the National Youth Service scandal in 2015, where the taxpayer lost over 800 million shillings in procurement scam. In her defense, she said she was the whistleblower, adding that officials detected an attempt to hack into the computers and make illegal payments of nearly 826 million shillings. February 2016, she was cleared by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC on all charges. On 21st November 2015, the CS resigned on health grounds and sought to be given light duties. In the 2017 elections, she entered the political scene and won the Kirinyaga gubernatorial seat. Waiguru was the first female vice chair of the Council of Governors in Kenya between December 2017 and January 2019. She was elected as the chairperson of the Council of Governors in September 2022, becoming the first female to serve as council head. In 2023, she was unanimously re-elected for a second term as the council chair. She's currently serving her second term as Kirinyaga governor. For the cabinet, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside.
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we have to do it
twice.
Mbali ya Afrika, tofauti na baadhi watangulizi wake. Taifa lake la kwanza ama taifa la Kenya likiwa miongoni mwa taifa ya Afrika aliyezuru Papa mwaka wa 2015 mwezi Novemba tarehe 25 hadi leo kule Kangemi wenyewe na kuita Vatican kwa sababu Papa alizuru maeneo yale. Kukaa kwa Papa wa 266 nchini Kenya kulishuhudia maelfu ya waumini aswa kutoka kanisa Katoliki wakipanga foleni kumkaribisha. Alikuwa Papa wa pili kuzuru Kenya baada ya Papa John Paul wa pili mnamo mwaka 1985 na mwaka wa 1995. Kuna mengi mtazamaji ya kujifunza kutoka uongozi wa Papa Mtakatifu Francis aswa kwa viongozi kote ulimwenguni. Ili kuelewa zaidi ni nini hasa cha kujifunza kuhusu kiongozi huyo wa kanisa Katoliki na kiongozi wa taifa dogo la Vatican, studioni mtazamaji nina wageni watatu. Kwanza nianze na katikati, Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata maarufu rais wa Gen Z. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Na vile vile pia niko naye ndugu Felix Okaj ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya utawala. Karibu sana bwana Felix.
Asante sana.
Na vile vile pia ndani ya studio niko naye Reverend Father Peter Ken Njonge wa Diocese ya hapa Nairobi. Karibu sana Father.
Asante sana, nashukuru.
Labda tu nikianza na wewe Father. Je, baada ya Papa Francis kuaga dunia jana, ni taratibu gani ambazo zinafuata sasa kwa wale ambao hatujui?
Kwanza kabisa ni kutangaza rasmi kwamba Papa ameaga. Na kuna kardinali ambaye ametengwa kufanya hiyo kazi. Jina lake ni Kelvin, lakini katika kikanisa anaitwa Cardinal Camelengo. Hata mwenye atakuja baada yake vile vile ataitwa hivyo. Na kwa hivyo kwanza kabisa ilikuwa amuite mara 3 kwa jina yake ya ubatizo. Vile tu umemuita hapo. Si Papa Francisco jina lake hasa. Akimuita mara 3 asipojibu, basi anajua ya kwanza Papa ameaga. Na papo hapo atasema kwa Kilatini ya kuwa ameaga. Lakini lazima tupate udhibitisho kutoka kwa daktari, kwa sababu labda amekuwa amelala sana ama labda alipata labda alikuwa inakoma ama kitu kama hicho kimehappen. Na kwa hivyo daktari akishaamua ni ukweli Papa ameaga, basi yeye mwenyewe ule Kardinali Camelengo basi ni yeye wa kutangaza kuwa Papa rasmi ameaga. Baada ya hapo baada ya tangazo hilo tunaanza siku 9 rasmi za kuweza kumomboleza huyu Papa yetu ambaye alituaga, na kwa sasa Papa huyu ni Papa Francisco ambaye ametuacha.
Na nimeona kwamba bendera zitawekwa nusu mlingoti.
Kwanza bendera yetu ya kanisa. Kwa ujue kuna pale Vatican hata sisi tunayo bendera yetu. Na kwa hivyo bendera zote zitakuwa nusu mlingoti, na vile vile sote tuweze katika ibada zetu za misa kuweza kumomboleza huyu Papa yetu kwa siku kama 9.
Shikilia hapo Reverend. Nirudi kwa Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata ambapo naarifiwa kwamba wewe pia una baraka za Papa. Papa Francis anajulikana kwa kutetea waliotengwa na wito wa haki ya kijamii. Je, viongozi wa dunia wanawezaje kutekeleza hili katika utawala, hususan tulete mfano hapa nchini kwetu Kenya Mheshimiwa?
Jambo la kwanza tunamwombea mwenda zake Papa Francis, Mungu aweze kumsamea dhambi zake na aweze kumpokea kwenye ufalme wa mbinguni. Na pia namshukuru Mungu kwa vile ametupa mfano ya kwamba kwa unyonge wa binadamu upendo wa Mungu unaweza kuonekana. Na kwa huyu mzee tumeona hiyo upendo. Na kwa viongozi wa dunia kile nitakumbusha tu watu ni jambo moja ambalo alifanya na ambao viongozi wa dunia wangependa waone. Vile aliwaita wale ambao wanapigana kule Sudan,
Na akaenda akapiga magoti akabusu miguu zao. Hilo jambo lilikuwa na lilikuwa kwangu kwamba lilikuwa ni kama ni fumbo, tena kama ni funzo kwamba wewe kama unahudumia watu, na vile alikuwa ndiye anahudumia hao watu, yeye alikuwa mkubwa, alinyenyekea sana mpaka akafika mahali akasema, twaomba na waomba muache tamaa. Mrudi mwetu binadamu kama wa kawaida. Mimi ni papa na wapigia magoti, ninaomba kwa heshima mnyenyekee. Na bila kunyenyekea huwezi kutenda haki. Na ile mfano papa ametupa ni kwamba ukinyenyekea, hata bila alikuja hapa Kenya, uliona ile gari aliendesha, hakupanda hizo magari makubwa, na popote papa ameenda. Na pia kwa ile safari zake karibu nasemekana alienda safari kama 60. Utakuta kwamba kuna maeneo alienda ambapo Wakatoliki ni wachache sana, lakini akawaona kwamba ni muhimu aende pale ahubiri Injili. Hakuenda tu kwenye mataifa ambayo ni ya Kikatoliki na watu wengi. So alikuwa na ule mwito wa kusema kwamba tunyenyekee, tuwe na upendo, tuheshimiane. Na kwangu huo mfano wake mwenyewe, hata sio ile kuhubiri alihubiri, sababu alihubiri mambo mengi. Kama kule Palestina alisimama akasema kwamba hii vita ya Waisraeli na Wapalestina sio vita tena, ni inaitwa genocide. Ni
kama mauaji tu.
Mauaji tu haina maana. Na heri mrudi nyuma msimami. Ameongea na Warusi, aongea na wa Ukraine, akisema muache vita. Hakuna haja ya vita, mrudi muongee. Na umeona kwa watu ambao wametuma risala za rambirambi, Warasha wametuma, wa Ukraine wametuma, wa Israeli wametuma, wa Palestina wametuma. So alikuwa ni kiongozi wa kila mtu, na alikuwa akisema kwamba hapa duniani ukinyenyekea, ukikundua kwamba wewe ni binadamu wa kawaida, huna chako, unaishi kwa huruma ya Mungu, utaweza kuhurumia wengine. So kwangu mimi naona kwamba ni mzee ambaye alitupa mfano mkubwa wa kufuata. Na tunaomba tu ya kuwa Mungu tena aone huruma kwenye kanisa letu, atupatie kiongozi mwingine ambaye atatusaidia hivyo, kwa sababu ukiangalia hao mapapa ambao tumekuwa nao, hata kuanzia John Paul wa 23 kuja mpaka tunakuja kwa Francis, wamekuwa watu ambao wamesaidia sana kuongoza ulimwengu na kuambia watu kwamba hapa duniani pia kuna ufalme wa Mungu. Na ufalme wa Mungu ambao uko duniani pia lazima utunzwe, lazima uenezwe. Ndio ile sala tunaomba kila siku ya kwamba mapenzi ya Mungu ifanyike duniani kama yanavyofanyika mbinguni. Iweze kuwa tu kitu, sio kitu ya kuomba, lakini iweze kuwa kitu ya kweli kwenye maisha ya binadamu.
Okay. Asante Mheshimiwa Senator Okie Omtata. Nirudi kwako ndugu yangu Felix Okache. Kwa maoni yako, ni nini kilifafanua mtindo wa uongozi wa Papa Francis, na je, ulikuwa tofauti vipi na watangulizi wake? Kwa sababu Papa Francis zile sifa anazomiminiwa na yale ambayo tumekuwa tukiyaona, ni nini tofauti sana na viongozi wenye haiba yake?
Asante sana kwa hiyo swali. Kwanza nitaanza na wacha nishukuru wa Kenya walishinda juzi kwa Boston. Unajua
jana
hiyo kuna ni John Korir na Sharon Ludeki. Jina ya Kenya ilionekana ulimwengu mzima. Hiyo ya kwanza. Alafu ya pili tunaomboleza Pope ambaye alifanya kazi nzuri sana. Huyu Pope maisha yake ukiona vile yameendesha vitu, alitoka Buenos Aires, Argentina. Na huko alikuwa anasaidia watu wa chini kwa maisha yake. Sasa hiyo background hiyo ako naye imemleta mpaka akawa Roma. Unaona hata kama vita zinatokea, vita za Congo, za Sudan, Ukraine, Palestine, anaangalia vitu watu wa pamoja. Wasikia mnafahamu hapo? Hata kuna wakati mwingine kuna vitu za LGBTQ, watu walipigiwa kelele sana kuhusu vitu mingi, lakini akaja akaona muhimu watu wazungumze pamoja. Tuendelee, kama kuna tabu tusuluhishe pamoja, nyingine kwa njia tofauti, njia inatakikana kuendelea mbele. Hata hiyo kwa vitu mingi alipata huyo tabu kwa Pope wakati alikuwa Pope Francis alikuwa Pope. Kwanza kulikuwa hicho nimesema LGBTQ, kuna wakati mwingine sex child sex abuse. Unakumbuka cardinals wengine walikuwa walitii kwa jina zilitoka hizo kwa hizo maneno mbaya, akajaribu kuweka watu chini wazungumze ili mambo kama hiyo isitokee tena.
Ndio.
Ya mwisho, Vatican kuna pesa mingi sana. Vatican Bank. Kuna $6 billion. Kanisa iko na pesa. Unajua kuna watu 1.4 billion ulimwengu mzima. Afrika wako 300 milioni 300. Ni wengi sana. Philippines wako wengi, US wako wengi. Sasa kuna pesa mingi wako nayo pia. Kuna wakati pesa ilikuwa inatumiwa vizuri. Akaona wakati alikuwa pop ili waangalie vile in future money laundering na misuse of fund is okay. Hizo vitu alikuwa ajibu kuangalia sana wakati alikuwa hapo. So ni mtu ambaye kutoka chini ameona umuhimu wa kwenda mbele kusaidia watu vile nitakekana.
Tuna nini cha kujifunza kutoka kwake kama Kenya?
Kama Kenya unajifunza to be humble. Uongozi nataka uwe mtu kwa chini, sikiza yule mwingine ndio anataka nini uendelee mbele. Unakumbuka Kenya hata wakati kwa na tabu za jinsi mshima hapa alizungumza akasema please hakuna haja kuuana, tukae tuzungumze. Hii wakati Palestine amesema wakae chini. Wakati M23 pia Kongo wajua ni mbaya watu wauana na Sudan akasema tukae tusikizane. Hiyo ndio background yake imetoka nayo kwa Buenos Aires, akaja naye please tuwe pamoja tusikizane, ulimwengu ni yetu wote.
Nikirudi kwako mtumishi wa Mungu Father Peter Ken Njonge, Papa Francis alisisitiza sana mazungumzo katika tamaduni, imani na itikadi. Katika ulimwengu ambao uko na magawanyiko kama mlivyozungumza, viongozi wanawezaje kuiga uwezo wake kuungana badala ya kugawanyana?
Kwanza kabisa yeye mwenyewe kuchagua jina Francisco. Na ni yeye wa kwanza, papa wa kwanza katika historia kuchagua jina Francisco. Ambayo ukisoma kuhusu mtakatifu Francisco wa Asisi, jambo la kwanza kabisa alifanya kazi na kina nani? Wanyonge na wasiojiweza. Ya pili, alinyenyekea yeye mwenyewe Francis of Assisi, ambaye sasa Pope Francis aliiga. Akasema hata kuwa padre. Yeye mwenyewe akajikatalia, akasema sitaki kuwa padre, nataka tu kuwa mtu wa kawaida. Na hivyo tu ndivyo huyu Papa Francisco alivyo. Na kama Mswahili vyeni anasema umoja ni nguvu, tengano ni udhaifu. Papa alikuwa na ile kazi ya kuweza kuleta wote pamoja. Ndio maana gari zake si za kifahari. Akienda pahali ye haoni tajiri na maskini. Haangalii watu wa cheo hii. Tukumbuke yeye si padre wa diocese. Alikuwa missionary wa Jesuit. Wa Jesuiti ama Jesuits wanajulikana sana ama kutambulikana sana na masomo. Na kwa hivyo wao mtu akiwa padre, I think minimum mtu anapewa upadre nayo ni masters. Lakini kwa kawaida na sheria za kanisa, kabla uwe padre utafanya degree 2, philosophy na theology. Lakini hata kama alikuwa amesoma, yeye hana hiyo mambo ya kujiona na kujiweka juu. Kila mmoja ako pale. Kama ni issues hizo za LGBTQ na nini, wacheni tuongee pamoja, kwa sababu anaweza kuwa ndugu yako, dada yako. Sasa ukimtenga kutakuwa vipi? Na kwa hivyo wanasema wacheni tuje pamoja, tufanye kazi pamoja. Ndio maana hata vile vile kuna wakati amefanya misa ya umoja wa makanisa Anglican wote pamoja, akiwabariki mapadre wa Kianglikana. Kwa nini? Anataka kuonyesha ule umoja na kupelekana pamoja, kwa sababu sasa tuko katika dunia ambayo iko na mambo mengi sana na teknolojia, ambayo sasa tunastahili kutake advantage na kuendelea pamoja mbele.
Mheshimiwa Senator Kio Mtata, Papa Mtakatifu Francisco alipokuja hapa nchini Kenya mwaka 2015 alizuru maeneo ya Kangemi na aliona vile watu wanaishi katika hali ya umaskini, na alitoa wito kwa serikali kuweza kuwajali watu kama wale. Je, miaka 10 baadaye ombi la Papa nchini Kenya limetimizwa?
Aliomba mambo. Jambo la kwanza alikemea ufisadi. alikamia ufisadi sana, akasema ufisadi unaangamiza binadamu. Na akaomba watu wote waweze kupatiwa nafasi ya kusherekea hii dunia. Lakini unajua, bila kumaliza ufisadi kwenye serikali, ile pesa ambayo ingetumika kusaidia watu ambao hawajiwezi huwa inapotea. So shida kubwa ya Kenya yetu hii sasa wakati huu ni kwamba pesa za umma hazitumiki vile zinavyotakikana, na ndio maana tutaweza kukabiliana na hiyo shida ya umaskini, ambao umaskini ambayo inafanya mtu asiishi ile maisha ya Mungu, kwa sababu ukikumbuka Mungu ni mfalme. Hata Yesu alituambia Mungu ni mfalme. Na ukija kuangalia vile Mungu aliumba Adamu, alimweka kwenye bustani. Penye alikuwa na kila kitu. Mungu hakuumba maskini. Maskini umetokana na tabia mbaya za binadamu, ambaye anapenda kunyakua mali, kunyima wengine. Ni tamaa ndio huleta umaskini. Lakini tukiwa na namna ambayo mali za umma zinatumika kwa usawa, ndio tunaweza kuwa na matajiri na nini, lakini yule mwenye atakuwa sio tajiri wa kawaida atakuwa na ile minimum lifestyle. Hata kuwa anaishi kama maisha duni kabisa, atakuwa na uwezo kupata elimu bora, ataweza kupata maji, ataweza kupata makao mazuri, ataweza kupata matibabu hospitali kwa mgonjwa, na ataweza kupata chakula. So ile basics ukishamalizana na hizo, hiyo mambo mengine ni nyongeza. Mtu akitaka kwenda 5 star aende, lakini hakuna mwenye hana uwezo wa kugharamia maisha yake ya kawaida na kuwa na maisha mazuri. So alipokuwa naomba hivyo ni kwamba alikuwa anatuambia tutumie ushuru wetu vizuri, tuweze kupatiana zile basic amenities, kila mtu aweze kuwa na nafasi ya kutawala. Hata Kenya hii, hata angalia vile unajenga barabara zote zinajengewa watu wa magari. Mimi nakaa mahali fulani hapa, na kila asubuhi nikija kazini, kuna watu wanatembea kutoka Kibera, kutoka Kangemi, wanatembea wanaenda Pande kufanya kazi, na wanaanza safari sababu nyumba yao karibu na barabara. Naona unapata saa 9 watu wameanza kutembea wakienda kazini. Saa zingine mvua inanyesha, unajiuliza kama watu wangejenga tu barabara ya kusema ya baiskeli, labda angekuwa anatoka saa 11 na baiskeli yake na anaendesha akaenda huko. Ukiangalia vile magari zinatembea, kuna magari zina connect direct, so itabidi aenda connect hiyo pesa hana. So kwa hivyo anaamka asubuhi, tena unaona jioni wanaenda wakirudi, mpaka saa 4 watu wanatembea. So unashindwa watu familia yao wanakuwa na wakati wakana watoto wao waweze kuelekeza, ama watoto wao wanakuzwa na TV. So vitu kama hizo ndio Papa alikuwa anasema muangalie maslahi ya watu wote, ndio muweze kusiwa. Sasa hata mkijenga barabara, msijenga barabara ya matajiri pekee yao wenye wanaweza kutumia magari. Jenga pia barabara ya wale wenye hawezi kutumia magari, waweze kutumia baiskeli, waweze kutumia vitu kama hizo. So kwa hiyo planning yani, ukiwa na proper planning utapata kwamba unabeba kila mtu. Na hiyo ndio ilikuwa mwito wa Papa, ya kwamba tubebe kila mtu kama dola, ili kila mtu apate ile furaha ya Mungu. Na unaona ile sala tunaomba ile Baba yetu ile mbinguni. Kuna mahali tunasema tupe leo chakula yetu ya kila siku. Nani huyo na Mungu hatumii malaika, Mungu anatumia nani? Anatumia binadamu. So hapa ukiwa na serikali, hiyo ombi la kusema tupe leo chakula yetu ya kila siku, hiyo ni basic requirement. Hata kwa hiyo sala unaona Yesu amesema tuangalie maslahi ya kila mmoja wetu, apate ile haki yake ya kila siku. So hata serikali inawajibika, ikishachukua ushuru kwa watu, itumie ushuru kwa njia ambayo inahakikisha hakuna yule anabaki nje. Na ndio ilikuwa mwito wa Papa akisema kwamba hapa hivi vitongoji hizi zishughulikiwe, lakini hazijashughulikiwa. Kujibu swali lako,
naam. Bila shaka mtazamaji, wito wake mkubwa Papa Francis alikuwa anahisi kwamba sote binadamu ni wamoja, kwa hiyo kila mmoja anafaa kuwa treated equally. Nikirudi kwako Bwana Felix Okachi, Papa ametufundisha mambo mengi sana. Je, viongozi wetu hususan wa kidini una mwito gani kwa sababu hata ukiangalia katika wasia wake Papa hataki kuzikwa mazishi ya kifahari, wala hataki kuzikwa mahali penye watu wenye ufahari. Gari alizokuwa akitumia pia sio za kifahari. Hata ukiangalia juzi ya Jumapili akiongoza misa ya kuelekea Easter Monday, ulimwona tu anatembea juu ya gari lake akisalimia watu. Je, tuna nini cha kujifunza Kyle, hususan viongozi wa kidini katika taifa letu la Kenya? Maana Kenya utapata kwamba kiongozi ni wa kidini, lakini msafara wake, magari yake, hata kumkaribia ni shida.
Binadamu wote wako hivyo, si papa peke yake. Wewe hata ukienda Italiano, wale wakubwa wa zamani walikuwa wataka washike kila kitu ni hao. Ni yule amekuja na mpango yake vile anataka kushughulikia watu wa chini. Lakini kawaida uongozi hapa kila mahali huwa kuna institution pale huko. Wanaonyesha vile utakuwa kiongozi. Huwe siwe peke yako. Unaweza kuwa na nia nzuri sana. Lakini kama wale watu karibu na wewe wanataka iende hivyo, ni ngumu sana. Kwa mfano, chukua Catholic Church vile iko. Siku hizi unaona watu waende kanisa, si Catholic Church peke yake, watoto wa siku hizi waende kanisa sana kama zamani. Most cases in Europe ziko empty. Watu si wengi. Hiyo ni kwanza. Ya pili, kuhusu hii kanisa kuna vile zimekuja zinaitwa evangelization. Catholic inapoteza watu wengi sana. Evangelists waenda kwa church zingine, ziko mingi zinakuja. So pia wanapoteza. Hata Popa hajaribu namna gani haiwezi kuweka wote, lakini wamejaribu. So uongozi huwa inategemea pale huko. Kwa mfano in strategic plan, lazima uwe na plan na watu yako. Una organize namna gani unataka unaenda vipi? Baadaye mtagundua what did you achieve bila takana. So Vatican yenyewe pia iko na mpango. If you've been to Vatican, of course,
bado sijafika.
Wazuri nilifika. Na shukuru wakati nienda huko nisaidiwa na vijana wa St. Catherine Karasagana, wengo wanasoma huko. So wakati nilikuwa huko wanikaribisha. So for a week nilikuwa naendaga huko kuona what was happening in the Vatican. Kila uongozi kuna vitu around wewe, resources, strategy, vitu kama hizo. Sasa mtu mmoja huwezi kubadilisha kila kitu, lakini utajaribu. Huyu Francis alijaribu kuhusu watu kuwe pamoja, kuzungumza, angalia mwenye maskini, vitu kama hizo. Lakini hiyo ni mtu mmoja. Sasa ujue huyu atakuja ni nani, na yule wa kitambo alikuwa namna gani. So alijaribu wakati yake. Na uongozi huwa ni hivyo. Vile wale watu wako karibu na wewe wakitaka wana msimamo mwingine, ni ngumu kubadilisha, lakini utajaribu ile unaweza. Kwa mfano Catholic Church yenyewe iko na vitu vingine strong principles. Unakumbuka hata father amesema hapa kuwa padri lazima usome. Amesema uwe na degree, sivyo? Wakati saa zingine unaenda kwa barabara unasema tu Yesu haleluya haleluya. Unapiga mkono unaenda mbele, sivyo? Unaitwa pastor whatever bishop. Lakini Catholic iko sheria lazima usome. Wengo lazima ufike Roma. Inatakana hivi. Iko order ya mass. Sasa hiyo zote ingawa Francis alijaribu within that system, kuna zingine zilikuwa ngumu, lakini alijaribu kama binadamu.
Sauti yake ndugu Felix Okache ambaye ni member wa CPAK yuko hapa ndani ya studio tukizungumzia. Je,
CPAK ni nini?
Ndio hiyo hapo.
ICPK. Upsea wewe. The Upsea Association for Professional Society in East Africa. I'm emeritus chairman.
Asante. Asante. Uko nao uone. Nirudi kwako Fadhili. Je, tutachukua muda wa siku ngapi ili kuweza kupata papa mpya?
Kwanza kabisa tutakuwa na siku ya maombolezi ya siku 9.
Siku 9 kuanzia lini?
Kuanzia kifo chake.
Kwa hiyo kuanzia jana. Naam. Na
kwa hivyo katika hizi siku Roma itatupa siku ambayo itakuwa ya mazishi.
Naam.
Lakini siku 15 mpaka 20 baada ya kifo cha papa, basi makardinali wote ni lazima watakusanyika pale Vatican, Roma. Na kwa hivyo it is after 15 to 20 days. 15 mpaka 20. Sasa hapo ndio watakogamana wote katika mkutano wa siri. Huo unaitwa conclave. Mkutano wa siri. Ambapo sasa tuko na makardinali 252 dunia nzima. Na wote wataenda, lakini wale ambao watachagua papa ni 138.
Na 138.
Kwa nini? Kwa sababu ya umri.
Okay.
Huwezi kuwa na miaka 8 kuendelea juu uweze kuwa una vote. Lakini wote, kwa sababu katika kanisa letu cardinals wanaitwa kwa kimombo the princes of the church. Na kwa hivyo kwa sababu ndio wako na ngazi ya juu sana. Lakini kumbuka vile vile katika ukardinali kuna kardinali deacon, kuna kardinali priest na kuna kardinali askofu. Vile vile kuna vitengo vitatu vya makardinali, lakini wote watakuwa pale. Lakini baada ya hizo siku 15 mpaka 20 basi wataweza kukongamana katika ule mkutano niliosema wa siri, conclave, ambapo wote baada ya kufahamiana vizuri, kwa sababu labda kuna kardinali wa Amerika hajui kardinali wa South Africa. Kwa hivyo kwanza watafahamiana, ni kama sasa mheshimiwa hapa wapatane na mheshimiwa mwingine hawajuani. Kwanza kabisa wajuane, alafu sasa ile siku sasa baada ya siku 15 ama 20 watakongamana kwa mkutano wa siri, na vile vile watachagua papa mpya. Ambapo vile vile baada ya kumchagua ni lazima moshi utatokelezea pale Vatican. Na vile vile tukipata 2/3 ni kila pahali ni kama tu ni lazima wavote. Tukipata hivyo tutapata moshi. Alafu vile vile watasema habemus papam, kumaanisha tutakuwa na papa mpya, tuko na papa mpya. Na sasa atatokelezea katika ile dirisha kama vile tu huyu alivyotubariki siku ya Dominika iliyopita pale, na sasa tutamuona papa mpya, lakini ni baada ya siku 15 mpaka 20.
Kabla kwenda kwake Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata, mimi si Mkatoliki, mimi ni Muislamu, lakini nafuatilizia sana. Vipi kuhusiana papa ashaondoka, kuna vitu gani ambavyo kama uongozi akiondoka vinafaa viondolewe mara moja? Nimesikia kuhusiana na ring, nimesikia kuhusiana na nini, tueleze zaidi.
Kwanza kabisa huyu ambaye nilisema Kardinali Kamelengo, baada ya kudhibitisha ya kuwa papa ameaga, kwa hivyo ile ring ambayo alipewa inaitwa Fisher's ring, ambayo inatukubusha papa wa kwanza aliachwa na Yesu Kristo mwenyewe ambaye ni Mtakatifu Petro. Na sasa kwa sababu unajua alikuwa mvuvi wa samaki, ndio maana inaitwa Fisher's ring. Na kwa hivyo ile anaitoa na kuigonga, kumaanisha upapa wake umeisha. Kwa hivyo isitokelezee mwingine aje, labda anaweza kuwa na twin brother wake aje avae ile ring na avae ile mavazi, watu waseme haja kufa, bado yupo. Kwanza kabisa inachukuliwa, pigwa, inaisha, inavunjwa, sasa inaisha. Alafu tena hifadhi yake pale alikuwa anakaa. Unajua papa katika kanisa yetu kuna vitu vitatu ambavyo vinatuongoza. Kitu ya kwanza ni mafunzo yake papa, ambayo kwa lugha ya kanisa ni magisterium. Kwa hivyo zile nini zote ameandika, vitabu zote zake, maagizo yake yote ni lazima huyu kardinali atajua yamehifadhiwa vipi. Kwa hivyo ataenda kwa nyumba yake, kwanza kabisa ifungwe kwa sababu hayupo tena. Alafu sasa tena wajue vile watahifadhi yale mafunzo ya papa aliaga. Baadaye sasa ndio maana sasa makardinali wote ambao sasa ni kama CSS, sasa wale mkubwa wa liturujia, mkubwa wa imani, wote sasa watakuwa sasa ndio kama viongozi kwa sasa wa kushikilia mpaka wakati tutapata papa mpya.
Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata, Papa Francis kuna nyumba ambayo alistahili kuishi pale Vatican, lakini ambao watangulizi wake wamekuwa wakiishi, lakini yeye alisema hapana, akaishi mahali pengine. Vile vile pia katika wasia wake amesema hataki mazishi ya gharama, hataki mazishi ya show off, anataka tu kuzikwa simple. Hebu tuulete katika viongozi wetu hapa Kenya na Afrika, mheshimiwa, akiwemo wewe mmoja, tunajifunza nini?
Ningependa kuongezea kwanza kidogo kwa ile father alisema.
Naam.
Ile kura ambayo inapigwa haina campaign.
Okay.
kama kuna campaign
haina lobby.
Hakuna baraka nini hapa.
Haina campaign. Kama kuna kwa na campaign ni vile ulikuwa ukiishi.
Ndio.
Utaanza kuambia wengine nitafanya, wataangalia maisha yako ilikuwa vipi, rekodi yako ni gani. So sio kitu ambayo ina campaign. Na ndio maana naona haidanga vita kwa sasa hivi. So na mimi hapa Kenya vile umeniuliza hiyo maisha ya kunyenyekea, ni kwamba kwanza hiyo maisha inataka uwe mtu wa uelewevu wa hali ya juu. Kama uelewi kwamba hii mali ya dunia ni ya kutumia, ni ya kuwasaidia wengine, si Mungu wako. Basi itakuwa vigumu sana ukipata madaraka uweze kunyenyekea. Na huyo alikuwa anaonyesha mfano.
Ngoja kwanza mheshimiwa, viongozi wa Kenya wana unyenyekevu?
Labda siwezi kujua. Lakini
kuna wengine si wabaya. Si wote.
Lakini kulingana na vile naona tunaabudu sanamu inaitwa pesa. We worship a false god hapa Kenya. Viongozi wengi wanaabudu hiyo. Na viongozi wengi wangependa kujipendekeza kulingana na ile magari wanaendesha, kulingana na vitu kama hizo. Lakini hiyo ni level of maturity. Unaona? Kama kweli wewe umeshakomana, unaelewa kwamba gari ni mashine ya kukutoa hapa mpaka pale. Una haja gani uweke pesa kama milioni 20, milioni, alafu uanze kuambia watu gari yangu ni milioni fulani. My Mercedes is bigger than yours. Vitu kama hizo. Hiyo ni upumbavu. Sababu mwishowe ile utaenda nayo ni jina lako. Hata ile shati umevaa si yako. Yeah, hiyo anaweza kwenda nayo. Na katika kanisa Katoliki natakana tuelewe kitu kimoja. Vile mimi huwa naangalia. Na hii mimi huwa naiona wakati wa misa. Na ile kazi ya juu zaidi. Na mimi nadhani kile cheo cha juu zaidi katika kanisa nikiangalia. Ni cheo chenye father ako nacho.
Kweli.
Cha kuwa padri. Hakuna cheo zaidi ya hii.
Ni kweli.
Hii ingine ni kuhudumia huyu na Wakristo wengine. Ndio maana ukiona saa ile wanasoma misa. Na misa ya father na misa ya pope si tofauti. Na ikinafika wakati ukiangalia vizuri, hata ule bishop anatoa ile kofia anaiweka wapi? Kando. Ndio afanye ibada.
Tunakuwa wote tuko
mapadre sasa.
Tuko mapadre. Hamna askofu, hakuna papa.
Kwa sababu ile kazi kubwa ambayo inaweza kutendwa na binadamu ni ibada ya misa. Na hiyo huyo ataitenda. Na pope ataitenda. Na hakuna tofauti. Na ndio maana ukisikia watu wakisema tunataka an African pope, tunataka an Asian pope, hawajaelewa msingi wa kanisa Katoliki. The mere fact that huyu Mwafrika anaweza akatenda misa, akabadilisha divai na mkate ukawa mwili na damu ya Kristo, hakuna muujiza mwingine zaidi hapo. So hatuna haja kuwa na pope Mwafrika mwenye ngozi kama ya pope mzungu, ya pope Muhindi. Hapana. Kwa sababu padri umeshavalishwa kila kila kabila duniani. Na so hiyo kiona kunyenyekea ni kuelewa kwamba yeye ni padri kama huyo.
Kweli.
Na amepewa nafasi ya kuwa mchungaji wa kusaidia mapadri wenzake. So ukiangalia pope kama ni cheo, na ndio maana tukiangalia pope akishachaguliwa anavalishwa mavazi, anaingia kazi. Sio kama huyu alipakwa mafuta akawa na ordination, ama bishop apakwe mafuta awe na ordination. Kwa sababu yeye tayari ni bishop. So anaingia pale, anaendelea na kazi. So he's just one among the others. So hiyo unyenyekevu sio kitu ambacho kinasemekana kwamba hakiko kwenye mafunzo ya kanisa. Ni funzo la kanisa kwamba ile daraja ya juu zaidi binadamu anaweza kupata ni kuwa padri. Na tayari tuko na mapadri wa Afrika, wa Hindi, wa nini. So pope first and foremost is a priest. Na ile kazi muhimu anafanya ni kusoma misa. Hivi vitu vingine yote haina maana mbele yake. Ndio maana naona hii unyenyekevu kitokea ni kuelewa kwamba amebeba fumbo la kuwa ishara ya Kristo duniani. Na utakuwaje ishara ya Kristo duniani kama mienendo zako ni za shetani? Hiyo ndio swali Pope amejibu. So kuishi maisha ya chini, Yesu alizaliwa wapi? Hakuzaliwa kwenye, alikuwa mfalme lakini alizaliwa wapi? Tunaona wale wataalamu walipokuja kumtafuta, walienda kumtafuta kwa Herode. Wakifikiria mfalme amezaliwa kwa nyumba ya ufalme, lakini alizaliwa kwa zizi la ng'ombe. Unaona? Maisha yake ilikuwa hivyo. Tena kitu juzi tulikuwa tunasikiza, juzi nilikuwa kanisani hapa Don Bosco. Na Biblia mnuza ilikuwa inasoma, nilikuwa naangalia mambo ya njia ya msalaba. Tulifanya hiyo Ijumaa, njia ya msalaba. Tulipofika pale, kuna hii nafasi ambapo Yesu kama yako karibu kufa. Mamake amemfuata njia yote. Sasa alikuwa karibu kufa. Akamwangalia, akamwambia, wewe mwanamke, tazama mwanao, na wewe tazama mamako. Kitu cha kwanza niliona kwamba huyu mama kama binadamu alikuwa hana chochote, alikuwa anamtegemea mtoto wake. Na ndio maana ukiona masomo kianda zaidi, unaona huyu mfadhi wa Yesu alikuja akachukua mama wa Yesu akaenda kuishi naye. Maanake huyu labda alikuwa anaishi na Yesu, hakuwa pa kwenda. So unaona huyu ni mwana wa Mungu, huyu ni mama wa Mungu, wako pale, lakini si matajiri.
Asante mheshimiwa senator.
Hata Yesu alipokuja alikuwa anasema alikuja kwa watu wa maskini, the poor, not the rich. Sivyo? Baba yeye kazi yake watu maskini, alikuja kusaidia watu maskini, the poor, the sick. That was the purpose.
Lakini hakuchukia matajiri.
Mtazamaji, ni dakika 13 zimesalia kuweza kutimia saa 3. Naona hapa ndani ya studio kumbe pia kuna mapadri. Itabidi mheshimiwa senator Okiya Omtata kama itawezekana pia aingie huko, kwa sababu naona sasa anatupeleka katika vifungu kabisa vya dini, mtazamaji. Lakini kwa sasa acha nirudi kwake ndugu Felix Okache, dakika zetu zinakimbia. Endapo ndo kwa sasa unafungua runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1 na KBC Radio Taifa Sauti Mkenya, kwa mara nyingine tena niseme pole sana kwa jamii ya kanisa Katoliki kote ulimwenguni kwa kuweza kumpoteza Papa Mtakatifu Francis ambaye alifariki dunia hapo jana saa 1:35 asubuhi saa za mji wa Rome kule nchini Italia. Na studioni tunazungumzia uongozi wake, na niko naye kama nilivyokuambia hapa ndani ya studio Reverend Father Peter Kenjonge, na vile vile pia niko naye mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata, ukipenda muite rais wa majenzi, na vile vile pia tuko naye ndugu Felix Okache. Nirudi kwake ndugu Felix Okache.
Yes, ndugu.
Bwana Omtata hapa amezungumzia kuhusiana na kiongozi anayetarajiwa wa kanisa Katoliki, na ameweza kuzungumzia akasema kwamba wale ambao wanasema tunataka popo wa hivi kidogo hawaelewi. Sijui kivyako unalisema vipi kuhusiana na swali, kwa sababu kuna list ya makardinali ambao wanatazamiwa kuwa mapopo, na wengi wanasema je, hii ndio wakati ambapo Afrika itaweza kuwa na papa? Mtagumu hapo.
Si rahisi vile tunafikiri. Waje duniani, ingawa Yesu alipokuja watu maskini, wa magonjwa, kazi yake ilikuwa huko Damascus, Israel, sivyo? Alafu baadaye watu kama Peter wakafanya hiyo uongozi yake ikaendelea mpaka much of Europe. Baadaye towards independence 1800 Christianity ikaanza kuingia Afrika. Tumeingia sasa baadaye, so tumechelewa kidogo. Hiyo ni kwanza. Umefahamu hiyo? Sisi pia kuna wakati Christianity pokuja, kuna watu wengine hawakusikizana na Christianity, wakaanza zao. Kwa mfano kuna kitabu inaandika Clans and Legends, kuna watu kama Johana Owalo, kuna watu Lejo Maria, kuna watu Alfayo Mangu, walianza kanisa zao, wakabishana na ile ya kawaida. So hiyo pia msimamo inaonyesha over time watu pia wanataka wapi juu. Unafahamu hapo? Ukienda South America wakati kuna Portuguese, wengi wao Italiano, si bado wako wanaangalia Roma because ule ni kwao nyumbani. Lakini sisi Afrika iko tofauti kidogo. Mwili yako pale unaishi, umaskini, vitu vingine vimetokea, vitu mingi zimetokea. Sasa si vile kama unaweza feel lazima tuwe na Afrika popo. Ni ngumu. Alafu ya pili, ukisema ni uchaguzi, vile nasema uchaguzi. Si wako watu 200 pa cardinals 250, sivyo? Sasa kutoka Afrika mko wawili. Hata kama ni mpira uwezi nini? Hata ukianza kuzungumza ati tutafika huko uwezi. Uone hata mpira Arsenal wakicheza huko hizo European teams. Ni hao tu. Sasa kusema pia lazima tufike huko kama hao ni ngumu. Lakini tuendelee vile tuko na tufuate maandishi Jesus alifundisha watu, na kuna pia tuendelee kwa Afrika kuna vitu, kuna ya Kristo, kuna Islam, kuna Buddhism, iko kanisa mingi ulimwengu mzima. So tufuatane na wale wa Kristo, wafuatane na Kristo, wale kuna Afrika wengine wako Buddhist, wengine wako Buddhist, kuna wengine wa Islam, wengine wako Islam. Hizo ni religion worldwide. Lakini kusema unataka ukubwa ni ngumu because kila kanisa iko na mafunzo yake. Kwa mfano Jesus alikuwa anasema it came for the poor and the disabled people. Ukisoma Kiislamu pia kuna hiyo kusaidia maskini, sivyo?
Kweli.
Ukienda kwa zile maandishi ya Buddhist pia kuna hivyo. Yote ni binadamu the way fully tunaishi. So hiyo naona ulimwengu ni hivyo tu, hakuna uwezo kubadilisha vitu mingi sana.
Pope Francis amekuja kuwa mfano mwema wa kuigwa kote ulimwenguni, ndipo hata unaona marais, viongozi mbalimbali kote ulimwenguni wanaendelea kutuma risala zao za rambirambi. Jana tu rais wa Marekani Donald Trump alitia amri kwamba bendera zote za Marekani zipeperushwe nusu mlingoti. Je, labda hiki cheo cha Pope kinasaidia vipi kuleta amani ulimwenguni kama alivyokuwa anashinikiza marehemu Pope Francis?
Inaweza, lakini si vile unafikiri hivyo. Kwa mfano, kwanza zamani Catholic Church ilikuwa ulimwengu mzima ilikuwa ni Catholicism.
Kweli.
Hata Christian, hata Anglican ilitoka from the Roman Rome. Kwanza kwa Bishop of Rome. Alafu wakaanza kukubishana, kukosana. That's when the Anglican wakaanza yao, wakati Pope hakubali jamaa wawe king awe mwanamke mwingine. That's how it came. Sasa wakaenda zao. Na over time makanisa zinakuja ndogo ndogo mingi mpaka sasa ziko mingi. Kenya ziko mingi, ulimwengu ziko mingi. Islam pia iko. Lakini Pope ameunganisha duniani mzima in terms of 1.4 billion wako hapo. Lakini hiyo si ulimwengu mzima. Chukua China, 3 billion people hawako pande hii. Sivyo? Wako tofauti, sio ulimwengu mzima. Lakini kutoka US watu kama Donald Trump, African Christians watafika hata kwa mazishi, because he ana represent ile uunganisha wa this part of the world. Lakini kuna China pande nyingine na Japan hatuko huko. So his leadership ilikuwa nzuri sana, amesaidia. Lakini vile nilianza, leadership is situational. Unaona kama mheshimiwa sema hapa, inataka wakati ya Gen Zs, kuna wakati ilikuwa fighting for independence, kuna wakati tabu zina tofauti kila time, sivyo? Wakati wa Tomboya na wakina Kenyatta ilikuwa kufukuza mzungu. So every time equal situation leadership. Lakini kwa sasa Pope ameunganisha this part of the world, mpaka unaona mazishi yake Donald Trump wengine watafika huko. So he's a great man of his time.
Naam, tuna dakika 6 na kila mtu ana dakika zake 2 tumalizie. Labda nikianza nawe ndugu Reverend Father Peter Ken Njongi wa Diocese ya Nairobi. Ni nini cha kutarajia baada haya yote ambayo tumeweza kuyazungumza? Umeweza kutuelezea taratibu zitakazofuatwa hadi kuwa na Pope mpya. Matarajio ya wengi ni nini, hususan kwa wale wafuasi wa kanisa Katoliki katika taifa la Kenya?
Kwanza kabisa ni kusema ya kuwa kwa sasa kuna wengi ambao hawajawahi, kwa sababu Pope aliyekuwa hapo awali, tukumbuke hakufa tu hivyo. Kwanza aliresign, alafu akakaa. Kwa hivyo sasa kuna kuna ile tu hali watu hawaelewi kutakuwa vipi. Lakini ile swali umeuliza Manokati pale, tunastahili kujua kuwa kanisa letu linaongozwa na Roho Mtakatifu. Na kwa hivyo yote yatafanyika kwa Roho Mtakatifu. Na kwa hivyo tumakinike, tugojee uongozi wetu uendelee, lakini vile vile tuweze kufanya Roho Mtakatifu aweze kutuongoza, kwa sababu makardinali tayari wanafika Roma na hayo mambo yote yatafanyika. Na kama ulivyosema, unyenyekevu wake, hakukaa katika ile nyumba ya mapapa, hata hataki kuzikwa katika lile kanisa la Mtakatifu Petero ambapo mapapa wengine wamezikwa. Atazikwa katika kanisa la Mtakatifu Maria ambapo liko nje ya St. Peter's Basilica. Na kwa hivyo unaona unyenyekevu wake kwa sababu ya servant leadership. Yeye si eti anajiona, ona Mungu kwanza kabla ya ujione. Na ndio maana unaona mambo ni tofauti. Na kama vile alisema hataki mambo ya kifahari sana, na hata mazishi eti kuonyesha ni kama yeye si Superman. In fact alisema mimi si Superman, mniweke tu kama Mkristo wa kawaida, kama vile mheshimiwa hapa alisema ya kuwa yeye alisema mimi ni mtu tu wa kawaida. Kwa hivyo mambo yote itaenda shwari na very soon tutapata papa mpya.
Asante sana Father kwa kumalizia hivyo. Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Mtata, dakika zako 2, na wewe labda mwelekeo ni upo unapomalizia, hususan kwa mataifa mengi ya Afrika tunafaa kuiga gani, tuache gani?
Nadhani Father amemaliza vile alisema kanisa Katoliki linaongozwa na Roho Mtakatifu. Na kwetu sisi, na vile tena Father amesema, tuombe, tufungulie Roho Mtakatifu nafasi ituongoze. Na mimi langu naomba Wakristo wenzangu na watu wa dunia yote waombe kwanza tumuombee mwenda zake aweze kupokelewa na Mwenyezi Mungu, asamehe dhambi zake, na pia tuombe Mungu Mwenyezi mwenye alitupa huyu atupe mwingine ambaye ni mzuri kuongoza hiyo. Na pia katika vijiji zetu kuna mapadri. Hao watu wanaishi maisha magumu. Maisha ya upadri si maisha rahisi. Tuwaombee kila siku ile yule msalaba amebeba kwa niaba yetu uweze kubebeka. Na tuweze kuwaombea, na mimi naomba tu tuombee kanisa, tuombee Wakristo wa kawaida, tuombee wote, kwa sababu mwishowe Yesu alisema kanisa lake halitaangamizwa na milango ya jehanamu, lakini pia alisema kwamba tuwe mashahidi. Mwito wa Kristo ni kwamba tuwe mashahidi. So tunaomba kwamba kama kanisa Katoliki tuwe kanisa la ushahidi. Na ule Papa umeona ametoa ushahidi. Ameongoza kwa njia ya kutoa ushahidi kwamba yeye ni mfuasi wa Kristo. So tuombee mapadri wetu, tuombee maaskofu wetu, tuombee wale ambao wamejitolea kwenye religious groups, na tuombee Wakristo, tujiombee sisi Wakristo wa kawaida tuweze kuwa ile kanisa ambayo Mwenyezi Kristo mwenyewe omba na akapatia na akalitengeneza na akaliweka hapa duniani kwenye msingi wa Ekaristi ambayo tunaabudu. So ka Ekaristi kati yetu kupitia kwa mapadri wetu na Roho Mtakatifu, vile tunasema mbele iko sawa.
Yangu itakuwa fupi sana.
Ndio.
Kuna Biblia. Kuna maandishi ya Biblia. Mafunzo hapo. Tufuate maagizo ya Jesus alituambia. Hiyo tu.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, nami pia leo nimejifunza mengi sana. Ni juzi tu nilikuwa najaribu kusoma historia ya Mfalme Herode kutoka kule Yeriko hadi Yerusalemu. Na nikaona jinsi gani ambapo alikuwa amejenga ufalme wake. Kwa hiyo hata mimi pia kidogo nitakuwa nikichokora nijifunze mawili matatu. Na hata leo nimejifunza mengi kutoka kwa wageni wote watatu. Asante sana Father kwa kuja ndani ya studio. Jana ulikuwa hapa na leo pia umefika. Asante sana.
Nashukuru sana.
Bila shaka asante sana Mheshimiwa Senator Okiya Omtata. Mimi katika ule umri wangu ambao nimekaa hapa KBC miaka 10, leo ndo mara ya kwanza na kuona hapa.
Karibu kwa TV tu, kwa TV.
Mwanzo ulikuwa unamuona Vigilance. Karibu sana. Asante sana pia ndugu Felix Okati.
Asante sana.
Na mtazamaji, basi kila kilicho na mwanzo akiwa akina budi kuwa na mwisho. Ni washukuru sana wale ambao wamefanikisha kipindi hiki. Asanteni sana wapiga picha wangu hapa ndani ya studio, na wote ni majamaa hawa, na vile vile pia asanteni sana waelekezi upande wa redio na upande wa runinga. Asanteni sana vile vile pia mwelekezi wa hiki kipindi ndugu Dennis Chisaka, bila kumsahau kuna mwanamke mmoja mimi muita mzungu kutoka kule Luyaland, anaitwa Wamoi Masila. Ni mweusi lakini akizungumza kizungu tamsahau. Lakini nami tabakia tuna Kiswahili changu. Jina langu naitwa Rashid Momkondo. Hii ni KBC Channel 1 na hii ni Radio Taifa. Endelea kutazama. Asanteni sana bote.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the Positive Warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture,
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
we bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed. We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
And we now get to shift gears from matters leadership to matters health. And today's conversation is on autism. To be specific, we're talking about the early intervention for autism. What are some of these early interventions for autism patients, and how can it change the trajectory of their day-to-day living? And to get me into this conversation, I have with me an occupational therapist from the Kenyatta National Hospital, and that is Mr. Boniface K. Winlight. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And then I also have an autistic parent, and her name is Felista Mudhoni, a parent rather to an autistic child. Her name is Felista Mudhoni. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on this program. Now let's get to speak extensively on autism and some of the early interventions on it, just to get to spread awareness, you know, as it is very, very important. Maybe if we begin with you, let's start by defining it so that we have a place to begin from. What exactly is autism?
Thank you very much for having me. Maybe to start with is that autism spectrum disorder is a beautiful brain with different colors. Unlike what other people tend to look at it from, the child not being able to do. More often you have not talked about the things they can be able to do. So basically, to emphasize on that is that we have these children who have difficulties in social interaction, communication skills, and behavioral issues or difficulties. That then therefore affects their day-to-day, just like you did mention. Yes.
Yeah. What signs probably indicate that a child may be autistic or a child is autistic?
Good. So one of the key signs is that being an expert, or rather having an understanding of how the autism spectrum disorder present, you find sometimes you see these children, they tend to block their ears, right? Probably they cannot be able to withstand even the conversation we're having right now. For them is too much. Sometimes you might see them, they tend to tiptoe, yeah, like walking on the toes. And many parents have come along and they are able to say that they would think like these children, they are boasting or something, and the parents are so happy, only to miss quite a lot of things. That is actually a sign for autism. So basically, those are the key things that you can actually be able to see. The other one is the eye contact. They look at you when you are not looking at them. They don't like maintaining the eye contact. And as a parent, you can actually be able to tell in terms of the, it's not normal for a child not to look at you, because then you'll not be able to communicate. So those are some of the things that really can be a red flag to a parent, to whoever is dealing with that, the family and the society.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get to you, Felista. You know, as a parent to a child with autism, by the way, your child is 6 years old, a very beautiful girl. I've seen her. I know her. She's very beautiful. Maybe what are some of the early symptoms that you got to spot in your baby girl that made you become alert, you know, and want to know, okay, what exactly is wrong with my baby?
When my daughter, I have a daughter, she's 6 years old, and when she was 3 months old, she didn't give me eye contact, and the first time she gave me eye contact, I felt like the principal was looking at me because it was a very serious eye contact.
Yeah.
And then after that, I noticed that she loved staring at the light. Every time if I place her anywhere, she'll just try and find the light to look at it. And also after she grew a little bit more, she didn't mind being left alone. If you left her alone and you went to another room, she wouldn't mind. She wouldn't even cry. She didn't even care that she was alone. And another thing, she couldn't point. It's weird, but she couldn't point like this.
Yeah.
She would just take your hand but she couldn't point. And another one, she couldn't respond to her name. When she was like 1 year, she couldn't respond to her name, but if you said things like colors, like red, green, she'd be like blue, yellow. If you say numbers, she'd be like, yes, 10, 11, 12. But if you call her by her name, she would not respond. And I was like, this is not normal.
Yeah. So she would respond to numbers, she would respond to just other things, but not the usual kind.
Not social communication. She would respond to every other thing, but when it comes to social communication, that is where she drew the line. She didn't respond.
So when exactly did you get to be diagnosed? When did she get to be diagnosed as an autistic child?
When she was... I was trying to do some research because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So I tried to do some research, and the research that I did, they told me I should wait until she's 2 years. So I waited until she's 2.5. I went for the diagnosis and I was very scared. So when I went for the diagnosis, the first time I went to a I didn't go to a medical assessment. I went to an educational assessment, and I didn't find a very great help. So I had to wait again, trying to figure out, okay, so what is medical and what is educational. So then again, I went for medical assessment in in Madare Mental Hospital, and then she got diagnosed with autism.
Okay. All right. Doc, I want to come to you. Maybe what are the very early autistic interventions, and why is it important to get that diagnosis as early as possible?
Thank you so much for that question, and it's good that I mentioned that early intervention is key. And early intervention encompasses the following: one, early detection. You, as a parent, as a therapist, work with these children on a daily basis. Then early diagnosis and early intervention. So let's now delve into the intervention part of it. So there are different therapies that are done, and basically is to support the development of this child. And that is done as soon as those needs have been identified. One of them is we need the neurodevelopmental pediatricians who really come up with a diagnosis for these children. We have occupational therapists. I'm one of them who work with these children on a day-to-day basis. We have behavioral therapists, we have speech and language therapists. So that is a team of experts or specialties that work with these children. Yes. So the first thing to answer your question is that we need a diagnosis first from a neurodevelopmental pediatrician, so that then they can actually be able to recommend on what then should follow.
So, you know, with what she said, she started noticing things, things looking different with her girl from 3 months, but the diagnosis did not happen until around 2.5 years old. Maybe just where is the gap, because, from that early stage, she would have been able to just go to a hospital, or I don't know where exactly, because she was talking about educational and the medical bit, where exactly is the gap that it kind of takes a bit longer to get to diagnose autism?
Yeah, good. Honestly speaking, the in my day-to-day interaction with parents, this is what they tend to say, and they have said that, you know, yeah, I could notice this is not happening, but you see, my friends were telling me, you know, there's this notion, especially for the boys. You know, boys take time to, you get the point. So, of course, when you are relying, you're asking certain information from people who don't have the understanding, more often than never, they can mislead you, because then you are not getting it from this information from the right people. So, somebody who is trained as a therapist, not to make a diagnosis, but to just do early identification, even at 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, it's possible to see some of those red flags. Yeah, right? But ideally, according to like the universal standards of making that, it's around 2. In US, it's like 2 years. In Kenya, maybe 3 years. But what I would say is that for a parent who has been empowered, since that time the mother has been given the baby, there is this book for mother, the mother handbook for developmental milestones that can actually tell you at 3 months the child is supposed to be doing, you know, ABCD. They are supposed to be maintaining the high contact. They are supposed to be babbling, you know, all those things. So when the mother has that information, therefore, it is possible. If you see those, you know, milestones, they are not like meeting as per the age and expectation, then they are able to seek some of these services to the hospitals, and most of these services are in level 5 mostly, and level 6 hospitals, like in Kenyatta where I work, Kenyatta National Hospital.
So some of these services are only in the level 6 and level 5 hospitals?
For sure. In my interaction, that is where, and even level 5 is quite challenging.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is, because therapy is expensive, and it requires a lot of equipment, staff being trained in that specific area. There's a lot that goes into that space. Yes.
And you've actually mentioned something that Felista has touched on before we got on air. She said she's actually happy to be here to speak to you because she's getting like free, you know, consultation and all, because of how expensive therapy is. Felista, if you can speak, you know, about that, you know, just how expensive is it to get, you know, having a child who is autistic and ensuring that, you know, they get to be looked at?
I'd say it's the financial part is one thing, and knowing where to go is another thing. Because I knew that my child was autistic. I knew, my gut was just telling me something is wrong. But if I ask everybody that was around me, my parents, my friends, I even found some people told me your child is bewitched or something, you should pray or whatever. So that is one, and then trying to figure out where to go. I've never gone to Kenyatta National Hospital. I'm hearing about, I'm like, by there, there's some therapies that I was told, but I've never known where to go.
Where exactly
because I try and do research, and they tell me things, and I'm like, the price that they tell you, and I know you're supposed to go there maybe once a week, and if you go there once a week, you can cover maybe different types of therapies. It's expensive. To know where to go, that is one. It is a very, very huge challenge, because I live in Nairobi, I work here, but I never knew, I didn't even know that I could go to Kenyatta, because I thought if you're going to Kenyatta, then it's a referral thing, maybe you're dying, because if you're going to Kenyatta, it's really bad. So it never even crossed my mind to go to, it never crossed my mind to go to Kenyatta. So I went to Mathare Mental Hospital, and it is level 4.
It's a national referral hospital, but specialized in mental health.
Yes, they don't have all the therapies that I could need. So I tried to look for somewhere else that I could go that is a bit affordable, because it is very expensive. If you go to if you go to private hospitals, they'll tell you like 4,000, 3,500 per session.
And you're supposed to do it weekly.
You have to do it weekly, and you have to go there maybe with a taxi or something, or lunch. So if I was trying to do all those calculations, and it's like 20,000 or more than 20,000 a month, and you're like, what? And you haven't even gone to school, trying to jafika up, or trying to think, okay, shule, what are we going to do? How is it going to be? Like, will I tell the teacher to try and, you know, do something? It's quite expensive. Yeah.
Well, you know, even, you know, with what Felista has said, clearly awareness needs to be done, matters of autism, because she didn't even know where to go, first of all. You know, is that a challenge that you know is there? You as therapists and even, you know, just the medical fraternity on that know that there's that challenge.
Definitely, and it's good that you're bringing that up. And last year we did a study in Kenyatta National Hospital on barriers to early intervention in occupational therapy. And part of the findings that we find out, majority of the respondents who are the caregivers and mostly the mothers, because they are the one who tend to bring these children to the hospital, is that around more than 60%, they were telling us they were not aware of occupational therapy services. So that I totally agree with what Felicitas is saying. Then you realize also there was no communication as to if there is a delay on this area, then where should I go? The way she's saying. So that is actually what they were telling us. This is a study that we did. So then therefore that then could inform us on then what do we need to do? Is to create awareness. And I'm happy, Vivian, that you did invite us here to create awareness to the people that there are these services that are happening. Kenyatta National Hospital, there are private hospitals within Nairobi that can be able to lend us some of these services. But the most important thing is that early detection, early diagnosis, early intervention. And this goes back to if, for instance, if this diagnosis is done between birth and 5 years, we all understand that at that point in time, a lot is happening in terms of brain development. So it's even able to change a lot of things in terms of how this brain of this child is developing. So you can actually see the importance and benefits of early diagnosis, early intervention. We can actually be able to support this child, work on the communication skills, the adaptive behaviors, the anxiety, which is really common with them. The way they function is, we cannot understand. We cannot understand. I mean, we can only try to understand them. Sometimes I give this analogy. It's like when you're in the traffic jam. You are stuck, the whole highway. You cannot move, you cannot go back, you can't, I mean, you're just there. So that's how they feel. And you did say how your child gets overwhelmed. So the question is, do you have that understanding how to deal with those meltdowns whenever they present that way? I mean, what works best for your child? Because again, it's not the same. Every child presents differently.
It's different, because actually there are autistic children who are completely non-verbal. They cannot speak at all. But then there are those who actually speak, and you know, like Felista's daughter is verbal, very verbal. She speaks very nicely and all.
She can communicate her needs, you know, and that's really good. 70% studies have shown that children with autism spectrum disorder, they are verbal. There is the 30% now that is, you know. And then the other thing is that that brings the question of you're saying about the early, I mean, I like the point of you state at some point without, you know, knowing what to do. And allow me to prosecute something here, because probably you are with your friends and she's learning from the social media. Is that information credible? You know, sometimes. But she has no otherwise. I mean, she has to go because there's no one who is telling her what to do. So it's always good to get information from the right source. And that's why we are here, that you can actually get those services in Kenyatta National Hospital. And other hospitals.
When you talk about early intervention, maybe what are some of these therapies that happen, you know, during that very early stage? You say it's really important for the diagnosis to happen between, you know, birth and 5 years. That's the best time to get to diagnose, because after that maybe there are some problems that would have happened in terms of development of the brain. So just what are some of these therapies?
Good. So occupational therapy is really key. And what happens is that after developmental pediatricians has established or come up with a diagnosis, most of the time the plan is referred to occupational therapist and then probably speech therapist. But you see, for occupational therapists now, for us, we are working on the attention, building the, the communication skills, making these children to be independent in activities of daily living like feeding, dressing, engaging in play. You realize some of these children, they tend to play alone. They don't like the social spaces. They want to be on their own. So here we are using such intervention like play-based therapy. Yeah, we all understand the occupation of a child is play.
Yeah.
They only know how to play.
That's their job.
Yes, that's their job, by the way. Yeah. For them, it's feeding, playing, and sleeping. They don't know anything else. So we need to enhance that. Play, scientifically, it has a lot of benefits in terms of developing the brain. And those specific parts of the brain that are responsible for speech, for language, for communication. That's why we are saying occupational therapy services is really key.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Felista, when you now got the proper diagnosis and now from Mathare, how now did the intervention, look like for you? What sort of therapies is your baby girl was taking at that time when you immediately got the diagnosis?
Hey, where?
Why is the way?
I'm hearing of things and I'm like, we're supposed to do that? I didn't know it. I didn't know.
To you.
I didn't, cause we have, I'd say my journey is still very sketchy. I'm still trying to fix. She's 6 years old right now, and anybody that knows me knows I'm an autism mom. I always talk about autism, but I try to talk about it na nguvu yangu yote so that someone can hear and help me. Because when we started the therapy, we started with hydrotherapy, and we did hydrotherapy for like 2 months, and nobody was telling me, after this, this is what you should expect. I needed someone to hold my hand and explain to me, this is what you can expect to see maybe when you go home after this therapy, and maybe the whole of this week, this is what you should be looking for, so that when you come back, I can say, I'm in the dark. We go for therapy, like, 4 years later, and we just go and anywhere we find anything, we do it, and I'm in the dark. I'm here to try and learn something new.
So sorry for that. It shouldn't have been that way. And maybe, Vivian, just to mention something is that we need to look at this space holistically.
Yeah.
In fact, the first thing, it's not easy. It's a journey. I interact with these children on a day-to-day basis. It's overwhelming for the parent. In fact, the first person who needs more therapy than any other is that parent.
It's the caregiver.
Is the caregiver.
Yeah.
That's where you need to start.
Yeah.
Then look at it now. The people who are working with this child, are they equipped? I like you asking, like, no one is explaining the expected outcomes.
Yeah.
That is a question of looking at the evidence-based. Yeah, I mean, is this intervention, are they working? Are they scientific, or is people just doing their own things? It is scientific. It is evidence-based. You can be able actually to plan once you have done an assessment, identified the needs, and you prioritize. And you say, this is what, for instance, most of them, they really struggle with the high contact. So for me, like, I want to have that high contact. I need to work on that, because it is through that then we can actually be able to build on communication.
So that is also something that is worked on in some of these therapies.
Yes,
Is that something that you've gotten to work on with your daughter? Is that something that when you go for the checkups and the therapies, is that something? One among the things that is...
We've not done that one for eye contact, because my daughter knows how to mask. She can give you eye contact for like, she'll pretend she's giving you eye contact, so you won't know that she's not giving, she'll pretend. But we do, the first time I went for therapy, I asked the occupational therapist, therapy is play, like I expected something else. And through those small little plays, it turns out that it is very effective. So they've done other small things like jumping on the trampoline, and I was like, why is it a must that she jumps on the trampoline?
Because you feel it's just a game.
She can just go and play it when she's in school. Because every week we have to miss at least one day of school so that she can go for therapy. And the first time I went there, I was like, you mean we're just here to play? Can't she play when it's break time when she's in school? And I was told, no, it's different kind of play that helps them with other social communication and other things.
Okay, the doctor can continue from there.
Sorry. Okay, so that you see now the aspect of not communicating. You know, she's struggling later. This should have been during the assessment, communicating clearly on what are the steps to be followed. We will be jumping on a trampoline for how many minutes and what does it help? That helps the mother or the caregiver to understand. And they can be able to replicate that in other contexts, which again helps even us to actually achieve those outcomes even faster, reduce the cost of therapy, you know, because now it's a well-coordinated approach where the parent is doing something at home, in school and the community as well. And just to finish on what I was talking about, the approach that we need to take. Once we do the early detection, because it is in the hospital setup that these interventions are working, so that again this child is going to a school. So the question is, how is that school equipped to understand this child, the difficulties that this child has and how they need to be supported? Is the school have an understanding? Do we have schools in this country? Are they supportive? Then again, in the community where this child is coming from, are people aware of this condition? The stigma, because that can really overwhelm her. You know, unasikia mambo ya, you said people would say is uchawi. I mean, surely that can really, you know, torment her. And as a parent, you know, all the burden now falls under her. So we need to look at the hospital, schools, and the community. We need to have a synchronized kind of a system that is working. Yes.
How far away are we to get to that point where that synchronization is just seamless, you know, making it easier for the autistic child and for their caregivers?
I think
how far away are we?
I mean, it's interesting, but maybe what we need to do is to create awareness. Number one, for me, I'll look at things in a very objective way. I mean, when these parents come to the hospital, for instance, if I'm meeting with her for the first time, I need to make sure that I explain, I identify the needs, I make her understand. And what are the expected outcomes? Where next? Where do they need to go to school? What kind of schools? You know, all those things. So to answer your question directly, I think first, a lot of awareness. We are far from...
still have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go. But I always believe, let's do something. Yes, if I empower these parents, probably within the estate, when they move around, they can actually be able to talk about it. And other parents will feel and tend to go and look for such services somewhere where they are being offered. So actually, let's do something.
Actually, speaking about doing something on awareness as well, this is something that you do, Felista. You know, just someone taking a look at your social media, specifically on TikTok, I see you speaking about autism every now and then. Probably what gave you that push? Because I know there are very many parents with autistic children, but they did not, you know, they are not doing the advocacy. What gave you that push to decide, okay, I'll be speaking about autism?
Being in the darkness, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, not knowing who to talk to. I don't know much about autism. I research because I realized nobody is going to, okay, we go for therapy, yes, but I want to know what can I do at home? Because if you're going for therapy once a week, for the other 6 days,
what should you be
so
doing?
if she's doing this, what am I supposed to do? So and getting a community, I didn't get a community. I wanted to be somewhere that we can talk about how weird our children are, and I didn't get a community. So I said I will talk about autism, even if I don't know what it is. I will make sure that I'm making noise, and through this my noise I will find someone who will tell me this is what it means. So when you told me there's a doctor coming, I was like, I will come. I want to hear something because I want to learn something, because I want other parents to know. Because we were talking about schools, and when it was time for my daughter to join school, I was so confused. I was told that she's supposed to go to a special school. So when I was going to look for these special schools, they're dealing with children that are they have very severe level 3 autism and other mental challenges that they don't study. They just taught how to tengeneza shanga and you know, small things. So I'm there, I'm confused. I can't take her to a special school. I took her to a normal school, but at some point we had to stop school because it was overwhelming. And I was back on the drawing board thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do? So I went back to the school and I talked to the teacher and I told the teacher, this is how it is. And now after class, teacher has to give her tuition, so that maybe if she was not, because you can be talking to her and she's like, me, I'm going for break, like me inje, like so you need someone that will sit with her maybe after classes so that you can explain. She's very fast when it comes to studying. She loves facts. Atazishika haraka sana, but now for her to understand what you're saying, because you need social communication, sometimes she has low attention span. So I had to talk to the teacher, give the teacher extra tuition money so that the teacher can try and teach my daughter after classes are over.
So she's going to normal school or special school?
She's going to normal school.
She's going to normal school. You know, I want you to speak a bit on the schooling. You know, how does that look like, you know, for autistic children? You know, as she said, it's kind of confusing. She went to a special school, but it was probably, let me say, too special, you know, for her child, you know. She goes to a normal school, still now it's like there's an in-between. So how does that look like for parents with autistic children?
Maybe before I answer that, it's good that I clarify that I'm not a doctor, I'm an occupational therapist. It's good to refer to that. You refer me as an occupational therapist. So on the question of schooling, it's really a challenge, even from us in the health setting, because for us, it's early intervention. So you can imagine, I think they get into playgroup at 3 to 4 years around there. So for me, if I start with this child at 2 years probably, and I've been able to work on these sensory issues by offering sensory integration therapy, is actually one of the therapies that you did ask. So they're able to self-regulate themselves, and they're able to focus and do things at least with some minimal level of assistance. So the next question we ask ourselves is, do we have schools that now they can actually be able to take these children and actually be able to help them enhance their learning? It's really a challenge, because in the spirit of inclusion, the sustainable development goals, we talk of these children should go to the same schools, not I don't like using the word normal school, because there is no abnormal school. So it's called the regular school. We have the regular schools, the integrated schools, and then the special. Those are the categories. So that is not really, that is done by EACs. They are called educational assessment. They are within the sub-counties, and I think Kisa is actually one of the...
I went there.
Yes. So they actually do the assessments to determine this child, do they need to go to a regular school, a regular class or regular school? Is it integrated? Is it special? And again, also, that requires, again, in those school settings, we need occupational therapists to be working there, because from the medical point of it, we understand the issues that they are struggling with. So we need to be working closely with the teachers, developing their IEPs, individualized education plan, to actually support them. So the issue of school, again, is working in silos, if I was to say. These teams needs to work together for the interest of this child and the caregiver. So there's a lot to be done. Then again, the way you're saying school fees, some of these schools, you realize maybe they have big numbers. Maybe one class, like maybe to ask, in that class, how many are they?
I think 25.
How many teachers? One teacher. You can imagine the ratio of the child. And there is this particular one for the daughter of Felista, who requires some, bit of assistance. It's, sometimes they don't like that overwhelming environment. So sometimes she start throwing tantrums because the class is too much. Like this lighting for them, they don't like that. You know, again, in terms of classroom management and modification and changing the environment to suit this child. Yes. So there's a lot to be done.
There's still a lot.
Yeah, a lot to be done. And again, the same happens in the community. Yes. Probably they don't like music. High music. They don't like too much light.
Yeah, like church.
Yes.
Going to church.
Yes.
Like I was telling, I was discussing this before we went on air, and I was saying, like, on Sunday we went to church, and she had a different kind of meltdown. We went to church and she shut down, and she was like, "Why is it too loud? It's too loud. They're too loud. I don't like it." And sometimes it worries me that if you're this sensitive, do you know this world? And you'll find people telling you, you need to teach your daughter how to toughen up. This world is not for the weekend. I tried that, and wacha niseme kiliniramba. Reality was that she can never be like other people of we call them neurotypical. They can never be like them. So you have to try and just learn how to work with her and walk with her in that journey, because it's overwhelming. Even the smallest things can be overwhelming.
I noticed you wanted to jump onto that as she was speaking about some of the meltdowns.
Yes.
You know, some are extremely extreme, some seem really low, like you don't know where the balance is at.
Yes. So, and to our viewers and whoever is listening to us, we need to be very sensitive. When we are dealing with a neurodivergent population. I did start by saying these are beautiful brain with different colors. They have a lot of good things that they have, and we need to pick it up and nurture them. And like looking at it, you know, that person who was telling her that this world is not for the wicked, surely, you know, it's probably from a point of lack of understanding.
Exactly.
And this is why we are having this discussion. So again, you need to do a comprehensive assessment. Like in Kenyatta National Hospital, we have to do a comprehensive occupational therapy assessment to determine which are the areas that we're having challenges with, so that then we can actually be able to prioritize. A child, for instance, you see some who are blocking the
ears,
and then you want to present the same child to a classroom where they are doing singing and dancing. That's why the daughter was saying, why is this church is too loud? And no one is aware about this. So sometimes also we need to be very intentional and like maybe tell the people that is within the community that please, some of these children, they don't need that loud noises. We need to create an environment that is enabling, that is favorable for them to, you know, to feel that they are part of that environment. Yes.
This is definitely a conversation that we should always be making time for, because it's we can't speak about it you know, extensively in one sitting, you know. So even as we get to wind up, maybe I can allow you to give your parting shot. You know, what's that one thing you would want to say? What's that one thing maybe you would want people to know about autism, or maybe if it's advice you want to give to a parent who's just gotten this new diagnosis? Just your parting shots.
I'd say this to all the parents, to all the caregivers. As he said, autism is a beautiful mind. You will suffer from denial. It will not end even in 2 years. Even me up to now, I'm an autism advocate, but sometimes I have denial. But usichukie mtoto wako. Your baby is wonderful. Try and find therapy. Try and find help, like what I'm doing here. Like today we've had, you can go to Kenyatta National Hospital. Try and, because they have a beautiful brain. They don't operate like us, but when you understand, you'll be able to connect, and it will be easier even for you. And also pray, because you're pray. Yes.
All right, thank you. Your final remarks, Boniface?
Thank you. I want to appreciate you for inviting us, and you are a warrior. And continue taking care of your daughter. One day you'll be talking about stories. You'll be giving stories.
Amen.
So so I interact with them on a day-to-day basis, and they have a lot of things surely the way their brain works it's miraculous. I mean, you can't even understand sometimes.
Okay.
And maybe before I give the parting shot,
Yeah, very quickly.
very quick. Yeah, there's a boy 2-year-old. You know, there's a boy I'm working with. They cannot talk, but they can sing. You see these hill washing songs, worship. They just take a corn and like move the crowd.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to tap on that.
Okay.
And maybe finally is that let's be very sensitive. Let's empower the communities, the schools, the people who are working closely with some of these children. Let's create awareness through social media campaigns, and all we can win.
All right.
And for the way to go is that early detection, early diagnosis, early intervention, we get better outcomes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much, Boniface, and thank you so much, Felista, for joining us for this conversation. And many thanks to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. We do this again tomorrow, same time, same place, a different conversation. See you tomorrow, God willing. My name is Vivian Degwa. Goodbye.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kenya. Wake up with Good Morning Kenya, the morning show that's got it all.
We dive deep into issues shaping our country.
Youth are a voice of a nation.
What is the next step for the young people?
Unpacking political landscape from Monday to Wednesday.
We discuss family matters.
It is very important to guard your relationship.
And for your health.
Someone doesn't wake up and they become an addict. It's in stages.
We've got you covered each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Every Wednesday, it's all about The Viewpoint.
A day in politics is like 1,000 years.
Unpacking the biggest stories of the week, getting you insights and getting you ready for your day.
And the package is not yet done. I get to fix your Thursday with some entertainment. Entertainment Thursday, it is.
Good morning, Kenya.
We shape your day.
Good Morning Kenya, every weekday morning on KBC Channel 1.
When someone you love dies, it can be incredibly difficult. But what if you could speak to them just one more time? Artificial intelligence is making this possible. Chatbots or digital avatars possess the ability to mimic our personalities, kind of like living on after death. But is that something we even want? Tech companies around the world are competing to make the perfect recreation of a deceased person's likeness. Thanks to advances in AI and deepfakes, they are becoming increasingly realistic. The burgeoning grief tech industry is already making a name for itself, particularly in China and the US. But what is it like to chat with a copy of a deceased partner? Christy Angel from the US did just that.
If you had a chance to talk to someone that died that you love, would you take it? Without knowing what the risk is, without knowing what the outcome is, would you take it? I took it.
American Christy Angel chatted with an AI bot, which she had to train first with a few personal details about her deceased boyfriend.
This experience, it was creepy. There were things that scared me, and a lot of stuff I didn't want to hear.
In the documentary Eternal You, two German filmmakers explore what it's like to try to bring the dead back to life in some way using AI. People always underestimate the effect of talking to machines that pretend to be human. The AI tricks people by repeatedly using small portions from the deceased person's dataset, alluding, for example, to songs you listened to together or movies you watched together. The psychological consequences of this kind of AI haven't yet been researched. That's why sociologist Matthias Meitzler wants to know how it impacts grief. You don't know what the avatar will say next or how it will use the original material. Will it lie about the deceased person, perhaps even distort the memories you have of them? And what about manipulation? Someone has to configure the avatar after all. What interests are at play here? And if it's a company pursuing economic objectives, well, that might not always be beneficial for the grieving process. Here, a grieving mother says goodbye to her young daughter in virtual reality. The encounter was filmed for TV in 2020 and sparked controversy. The girl's avatar was created from photos and videos. It was very moving, also disturbing, but I can see why someone might want to do it. Indeed, the virtual meeting was a positive experience for the mother. Perhaps in future, digital avatars could help us say goodbye, or when we just want to remember. Could you imagine meeting an AI double of a deceased loved one? It seems to have helped this mother at least. Surely, it also depends on the quality of the AI.